The steel baton came down like a hammer, crack shattering Lena's kneecap. She didn't scream, didn't beg, just fell. The second blow destroyed her other leg with a sound like breaking branches. "Stay down, little girl," the operative hissed, standing over her broken body. Behind the locked door, Riker Donovan pounded the glass until his fists bled, screaming her name. The same woman he'd mocked 3 days ago, called weak, said, "Didn't belong here." Now she was dying because she'd shoved him out and locked the door, saved his worthless life. Then came the growl, not from a trained military dog, from something that just watched its whole world get destroyed. Before we see what Rex does next, subscribe, watch to the end, and comment your city below. Let's see how far this story goes. Lena Cross stood exactly where they told her to stand, centered in the training yard. Hands loose at her sides, Rex sitting perfectly still beside her left leg. She wasn't looking at Riker Donovan or his crew. She was looking past them, through them, at something none of them could see. "Ma'am," the word came from Riker's mouth like he was spitting out spoiled food. "With all due respect, and I mean all due respect, are you actually supposed to train us?" The other 11 trainees snickered. These weren't rookies. These were men selected from the top 2% of naval candidates. Men who'd already proven themselves in the field. Men who'd seen combat, survived Hell Week, earned their spots through blood and broken bones. And now they were supposed to take orders from a 22-year-old woman who looked like she weighed maybe 115 soaking wet. Lena's eyes finally moved to meet Riker's. Just that. Just her eyes. Nothing else about her changed. "Do you have a question, trainee?" Her voice was quiet, controlled. The kind of quiet that made smart people nervous. Riker wasn't smart, not right then. "Yeah, I got a question." He stepped forward, closing the distance between them to maybe 5 feet. "What makes you think you can teach us anything? Have you even seen combat? Or did they send you here because you're good at filing paperwork and looking?" "Riker." Martinez's voice carried a warning. "Dude, cute with your little support animal." The silence that followed wasn't empty. It was full of the kind of tension that made the air feel thick. Thompson broke it with a laugh that sounded forced. "Come on, man. Maybe she's tougher than she looks." "Oh, I'm sure, Riker's sarcasm was thick enough to cut. "I'm absolutely terrified of someone who needs a dog just to get through the day." "What's next, therapy cats, emotional support hamsters?" 3 of the trainees laughed. The rest stayed quiet, watching Lena's face, waiting for the crack, waiting for tears or anger or something. They got nothing. "Rex isn't an emotional support dog." Lena's voice hadn't changed. Still quiet, still controlled. "He's a military working dog. Specialization, threat assessment, and hostile elimination. 8 years active service. 47 confirmed hostile neutralizations." Riker blinked. 47. 47. Lena tilted her head slightly. "Do you know how many confirmed hostile neutralizations you have, trainee Donovan?" His jaw tightened. "That's classified." "It's 3. Lena's response came instantly. 2 during the Kandahar operation in 2019, 1 during an extraction in Syria. All at distance, all with rifle support. You've never engaged in hand-to-hand combat in a combat zone. Your file says you've never been in a situation where your weapon was stripped and you had to fight with your hands." The color drained from Riker's face. "How do you—" "I read files." Lena's eyes moved to Thompson. "You have 2, both vehicle-based. Martinez has 1 accidental discharge during a raid. You thought the hostile was reaching for a weapon, but it was a cell phone. You spent 6 months in therapy after that. Brennan has 0. Collins has 0. Williams has 1, but it was ruled friendly fire and you were cleared." She rattled off their records like she was reading a grocery list. Every name, every number, every classified detail they thought was buried deep in their personnel files. Thompson's smirk died. "Jesus Christ." "I don't need Jesus Christ." Lena's voice stayed flat. "I need you to understand something before we start. You look at me and you see someone small, someone young, someone female, someone with a service dog. And your brains, all of you, immediately calculate that I'm weak, that I don't belong here, that this is some diversity initiative or political correctness run wild." She took a single step forward. "You're wrong." Riker laughed, but it sounded hollow now. "Okay, Rambo, so what are you going to do, lecture us to death?" No. Lena gestured to the training mat behind them. I'm going to give you a chance to prove you belong here. All of you, at once, chum. The trainees exchanged glances. Martinez spoke first. All of us against you. And Rex. That's insane, Thompson said. There's 12 of us. I know. Lena walked toward the mat, Rex matching her pace perfectly. If you can neutralize me and secure me for extraction within 10 minutes, you pass. You get reassigned to a new instructor. Someone who looks the part. Someone you'll respect. She turned to face them. But if I neutralize all of you first, you stay. You train under me. You follow my orders. And you never ever question my authority again based on what I look like. Riker's grin came back sharp and ugly. Deal. Wait. Brennan, the quiet one from Montana, raised a hand. What are the rules? No permanent damage, no killing strikes, no eye gouges or groin strikes. Lena's expression didn't change. Everything else is fair game. What about the torteo? Collins asked. Rex operates under the same rules I do. Williams, the biggest of the group, at 6'4" and 240, cracked his knuckles. This is going to be embarrassing for you, ma'am. Yes, Lena agreed, it will be. They surrounded her. 12 men, all bigger, all stronger, all convinced this would be over in seconds. Riker made the first move, a grab for her arm, fast and confident. Lena's response was faster. She didn't block. She redirected using his momentum to spin him sideways while her other hand struck the nerve cluster at his shoulder. Riker's entire right arm went numb. Before he could process what happened, her foot swept his legs, and he was on the ground gasping. 2 seconds, maybe 3. Thompson lunged from her left. Rex moved, a blur of fur and muscle that intercepted him mid-stride. Rex didn't bite, didn't attack, just positioned himself perfectly, so Thompson's momentum carried him over the dog's back and into a sprawling faceplant on the mat. Jesus! Thompson scrambled backward. The dog, Martinez, came from the right, more cautious now, hands up in a proper fighting stance. He was smart. He'd studied martial arts. He knew what he was doing. Lena waited until he committed to a punch, then stepped inside his guard. Her palm struck his solar plexus, not hard enough to damage, but hard enough to knock every molecule of air from his lungs. While he wheezed, she swept his legs and guided him down in a controlled fall that left him gasping beside Riker. 5 men down in under 20 seconds. Rush her, Williams bellowed. All at once. She can't take all of us. They tried. All 7 remaining trainees converged on her position simultaneously. It should have worked. Should have been overwhelming. Should have ended the fight. Instead, Lena moved like water. She ducked under Williams's haymaker, used Collins's charge to throw him into Brennan, deflected Harper's grab into Rodriguez's path. Rex took down Shaw with a perfectly timed shoulder check that sent the trainee spinning into Peterson. It was chaos. Beautiful orchestrated chaos. And through it all, Lana stayed calm, clinical, every movement precise, every strike measured, every redirect calculated to create maximum disruption with minimum effort. Williams tried again, a proper tackle, this time low and powerful, the kind that should have worked against someone her size. Lena dropped her center of gravity, caught his shoulder, and used his own momentum to roll him over her hip. 240 pounds of muscle flipped through the air and landed hard on the mat with a sound like a side of beef hitting a butcher's block. Egg! Williams clutched his back. How bash? Physics. Lena didn't even sound winded. You're strong. I'm not. So I use your strength against you. Peterson came at her from behind a sleeper hold attempt that would have worked against most opponents. Rex's warning bark made Lena drop and spin. Peterson's arms closed on empty air. Lena's leg sweep took him down before he could recover. 6 minutes in, all 12 trainees were on the mat. Some were groaning, some were silent. All of them were staring at Lena with expressions that ranged from shock to disbelief to something that looked like fear. Riker pushed himself up on his elbows, his right arm still tingling with pins and needles. What are you? Lena crouched down so they were eye level. I'm your instructor, and you just learned the first lesson. What lesson? Martinez gasped out the words between attempts to breathe normally. That assumptions kill. Lena stood. You assumed I was weak because I'm small. You assumed I was incompetent because I'm young. You assumed I was afraid because I'm quiet. Every single one of those assumptions put you on your back inside of 6 minutes. She walked around them, Rex at her side, her voice never rising above that same controlled tone. In the field, assumptions get you killed. The enemy doesn't care about your expectations. They don't care what you think they should be. They care about exploiting your blindness. And all of you, every single one of you, were blind the moment you saw me. Thompson sat up, rubbing his jaw. Where did you learn to fight like that? I didn't learn to fight. Lena stopped walking. I learned to survive. There's a difference. What difference? Brennan asked. He sounded genuinely curious now, the mockery gone from his voice. Fighting is about dominance, about proving you're stronger. Survival is about staying alive by any means necessary. You fight to win. I survive to continue. She looked at each of them in turn. You wanted to beat me. I just wanted to neutralize the threat. That's why you lost. Riker got to his feet, wobbly but determined. His face was red from exertion or embarrassment, maybe both. That wasn't a fair fight. No, Lena agreed. It wasn't. Fair fights don't exist. If you're in a fair fight, someone messed up the mission planning. So what now? Collins asked. We just accept that you kicked our asses and move on. No. Lena's expression finally changed just slightly, something that might have been the ghost of a smile. Now you get up, you process what happened, and tomorrow we start actual training. Today was just the entrance exam. That was the entrance exam, Harper sounded horrified. That was me going easy on you. Lena turned toward the building. If this had been real, half of you would be dead and the other half would be captured. Get cleaned up, dismissed. She walked away, Rex beside her, leaving 12 elite trainees sitting on a training mat, wondering what the hell just happened to their world. Riker watched her go, something ugly twisting in his chest. Shame, maybe, or anger at being shamed. He couldn't tell the difference right now. Dude, Martinez limped over to him. We messed up. No, Riker's voice came out hard. She messed up. This isn't over. What are you talking about? I'm talking about the fact that she embarrassed us, made us look like idiots. You think I'm just going to accept that? Riker's hands clenched into fists. Tomorrow we come back ready. We figure out her pattern, and we show her that we're not some pushovers she can just humiliate. Thompson joined them, moving gingerly. Maybe we should just, I don't know, learn from her. She clearly knows things we don't. Learn from her. Riker spat the words. She got lucky, that's all. Lucky, and we were going easy because she's a girl. We weren't going easy, Brennan said quietly. I tried to put her in a chokehold. That's not going easy. Then you're weak. Riker's eyes narrowed. All of you were elite operators, and we let some tiny woman with a bow make us look like children. That doesn't happen again. Tomorrow we show her what we're really made of. Martinez exchanged a glance with Thompson. Neither of them looked convinced, but neither of them argued. They didn't see Lena pause at the doorway just for a moment. Didn't see her hand tighten slightly on Rex's lead. Didn't see the way her jaw set just a fraction harder. She heard everything, every word, every plan for revenge disguised as redemption, and she was already 3 steps ahead. That night, Riker sat in the barracks writing notes, combat patterns, movement analysis, weaknesses he thought he'd spotted. Dude, it's midnight. Martinez looked over from his bunk. Let it go. I'm not letting anything go. Riker didn't look up. She thinks she proved something today, but all she proved is that we underestimated her. That's a mistake you only make once. And then what? You beat up a woman half your size and feel like a man. I beat up an instructor who humiliated me in front of my team. Gender doesn't matter. It clearly matters to you. Riker's pen stopped moving. What's that supposed to mean? It means you wouldn't be this angry if she was a he. You're pissed because a woman made you look bad. Admit it. I'm pissed because she cheated. How did she cheat? She fought 12 against 1 and won. If anything, we had the advantage. Riker slammed his notebook shut. You know what? Fine. You want to be her little fan club, go ahead. But I'm not bowing down to someone just because they got lucky one time. He didn't sleep much that night, kept replaying the fight in his head, trying to find the moment where it went wrong, trying to figure out how someone so small moved so fast, hit so hard, stayed so calm. The answer kept eluding him, which made him angrier, which made him more determined, which made him more dangerous to himself and everyone around him. The next morning, they assembled at 0500. Lena was already there, Rex beside her, both of them looking exactly the same as yesterday. Calm, ready, unshakable. Good morning, her voice carried across the yard. Today, we begin actual training. Yesterday was assessment. Today is instruction. Before we start, Riker stepped forward, his voice loud and challenging. I want a rematch. Lena's eyes found his. No. No, just like that. Just like that. Yesterday's exercise served its purpose. Repeating it serves no purpose except your ego. My ego. Riker's face flushed. You're the one who set up an exercise designed to make yourself look good. I set up an exercise designed to break your assumptions. It worked. Now we move forward. I don't think so. Riker crossed his arms. I think you got lucky. I think you used tricks and surprise and the fact that we weren't taking you seriously. Give us a fair shot, one-on-one, me against you, no tricks, and let's see what happens. The other trainees shifted uncomfortably. Some looked curious. Some looked horrified. Martinez looked like he wanted to be literally anywhere else. Lena was quiet for a long moment. Then she did something unexpected. She smiled, actually smiled, not a friendly smile, something colder. Okay, Riker blinked. Okay. Okay, you want to prove yesterday was a fluke. Let's prove it. You and me, right now. Same rules as yesterday, no permanent damage, no killing strikes. What about the bomb? Rex observes he doesn't participate unless you're about to seriously hurt me. Which you won't, but he'll stay back. Deal. Riker was already moving to the mat, adrenaline flooding his system. This was it. This was his chance to restore his pride. Show everyone that yesterday was just Lena's foot caught him in the solar plexus before he finished the thought. Not hard, just fast, just unexpected, just perfectly placed to drop him to one knee, gasping. Rule 1, Lena said quietly, standing over him. The fight starts when the fight starts. Not when you're ready, when the enemy decides. Riker surged up, swinging wild anger overriding technique. Lena slipped every punch. Didn't block, just moved. Like she knew where his fists would be before he did. Rule 2. Her voice stayed calm even as she evaded his assault. Anger makes you predictable. Predictable makes you dead. Shut up! Riker threw a combination he had practiced 10,000 times. Jab, cross, hook, uppercut. Lena ducked the jab, redirected the cross into empty air, caught his wrist on the hook, and used it to spin him off balance. The uppercut never came because he was already falling. Rule 3. Lena kept talking as he hit the mat. Your opponent will use everything you give them. You're giving me anger, frustration, pride. All of those are weapons I can use against you. Riker rolled away, came up in a crouch. His breathing was ragged now, sweat already beading on his forehead. Lena looked exactly the same. Calm, controlled, not even breathing hard. Last chance, she said. Yield now. Accept that you have things to learn. Move forward. Never. Riker charged, going for a tackle, planning to use his size advantage to... The world flipped, literally flipped. One moment he was charging, the next he was airborne. Then his back hit the mat so hard, stars exploded across his vision. Lena had used his momentum against him. Again, thrown him like he weighed nothing. She knelt beside him, one knee on his chest, her hand positioned at his throat. Not touching, just positioned. A threat that didn't need to be executed to be understood. Yield, she said quietly. Please. That last word, please, somehow made it worse. She wasn't gloating, wasn't enjoying this. She just wanted it to end, which meant she felt sorry for him. That realization hit harder than the throw. I yield, Riker gasped out. I yield. Lena stood, immediately offered her hand. Riker stared at it for a long moment before taking it. She pulled him up easily despite the size difference. Good, she said. Then louder to the whole group, training begins now. Partner up. We're going to work on the same principles you just saw demonstrated, using momentum, reading your opponent, staying calm under pressure. The trainees moved to follow orders, but they were different now, quieter, more thoughtful. The mockery was gone, replaced by something that looked like respect, or maybe fear, maybe both. Riker stood off to the side, chest heaving, trying to process what just happened. Martinez approached carefully. You okay, man? No. Riker's voice came out rough. No, I'm not okay. She made me look like a complete amateur, twice. So maybe it's time to stop trying to beat her and start trying to learn from her. Maybe. Riker watched Lena correct Thompson's stance, her voice patient and clear. Or maybe I just need to train harder, figure out her weaknesses, come back stronger. Martinez sighed. Dude, you're not hearing me. The lesson isn't try harder. The lesson is you're approaching this wrong. I don't know what that means. It means you keep trying to prove you're stronger than her. But strength isn't the point. She's been trying to tell you that. Riker didn't answer, couldn't answer, because part of him, the part that wasn't drowning in wounded pride, knew Martinez was right. But the other part, the louder part, the part that had been taught since childhood that men were supposed to be stronger, tougher, more capable, that part couldn't accept it. So he stuffed it down, buried it deep, and told himself that next time would be different. He had no idea how right he was, or how wrong. 3 days passed, training continued. Lena taught them things they had never seen before: pressure, point manipulation, psychological warfare tactics, how to read micro-expressions to predict attacks. She was brilliant, patient, effective, and Riker hated every second of it. Not because she was a bad teacher, because she was a good one, which meant admitting she deserved to be there, which meant admitting he'd been wrong. Pride is a poison that way. It kills slowly from the inside out. On the 4th day, everything changed. They were running through a tactical scenario hostage rescue in an urban environment. Lena was observing Rex at her side, calling out corrections and adjustments. Martinez, you're 6. Thompson, don't bunch up with Collins. You're making yourselves 1 target instead of 2. Brennan, good positioning. Riker. The first gunshot sounded like thunder in the enclosed space, but it wasn't part of the exercise. The round hit the wall 6 inches from Lena's head, spraying concrete dust. Real ammunition, real threat, real danger. Contact. Lena's voice cut through the confusion like a blade. All trainees evacuate now. This is not a drill move. The trainees froze for half a second, the worst half second of their lives. Another shot. Then another, coming from the observation deck. I said move. Lena was already moving herself, putting her body between the trainees and the shooter. Rex, protect. The dog instantly positioned himself in front of the trainees, herding them toward the exit with trained precision. Riker saw 3 figures on the observation deck. Professional, tactical gear, moving with the kind of coordination that spoke to serious training. These weren't random attackers. They were here for a specific purpose. And that purpose, he realized with horror, was Lena. Go! Lena shoved Martinez toward the door. Get them out. That's an order. We can't leave you. You can and you will. For the first time since they'd met her, Lena's voice rose. Actually rose, edged with something that it might have been fear. They're here for me, not you. Another shot. This one closer. Rex snarled but held position, still protecting the trainee's retreat. Riker made a choice then. A stupid, prideful, heroic, idiotic choice. He ran toward Lena instead of away, grabbed her arm. Come with us. She yanked free with surprising strength. I'm the target. If I run, they chase. If they chase, you all die. Now get out. 3 more shots in rapid succession. The shooters were descending, now closing the distance. Lena looked at Riker one last time. When you tell this story later, tell them I told you to run. Tell them you tried to stay. Tell them I made the choice. Then she physically shoved him toward the exit hard enough that he stumbled. Martinez caught him, dragged him through the door. The last thing Riker saw before the door slammed shut was Lena turning to face 3 armed killers with nothing but her hands and her dog, and the absolute certainty on her face that she was about to die. The door locked electronically. Through the small window, they could only watch. No, Riker pounded on the door. No, open it, open it. It's automatic lockdown, Thompson said, his voice shaking. Triggered by gunfire. We can't override it from this side. They were forced to watch, to bear witness, to see what happened next. The 3 operatives surrounded Lena, professional, efficient, no wasted movement. She fought like a demon, took down the first one with a strike to the throat and a knee to the temple. The second one shot at Rex, missed, caught a palm strike to the nose that sent blood spraying. But the third one was faster. Better. He waited for his opening while his partners engaged, then struck. A baton to the knee. Surgical, precise, devastating. Lena's leg buckled. She stayed up on one knee, still fighting her face, a mask of determination. The operative hit her other knee. Same precision, same result. Both legs compromised. Unable to stand, unable to run, unable to fight the way she'd been trained. They thought it was over. The operatives clearly thought it was over. They moved in to secure her, confident now that she was neutralized. That's when Rex stopped being a military working dog and became something else entirely. The sound he made wasn't a bark, it was something deeper, primal, a sound that carried 8 years of discipline shattering in a single moment. He hit the first operative with 65 pounds of muscle and fury, moving it at full speed. Didn't go for the arm like he'd been trained. Went for the throat, tore through tactical gear like it was tissue paper. The operative screamed, went down, didn't get back up. The second operative tried to shoot. Rex was already on him, jaws clamping down on the wrist, shaking, breaking, destroying. The gun clattered away. The operative tried to fight back, tried to use his free hand to reach for a knife. Rex crushed his wrist, then went for his face. Through the window, 12 elite trainees watched in absolute horror as a service dog, a creature trained for 8 years to be gentle, controlled, disciplined, tore through 2 armed men like they were made of paper. The third operative made the mistake of trying to finish Lena while she was down. Rex left the second operative and crossed the distance in 2 bounds. This time he didn't even bark, just hit the man from behind, taking him down at the knees, then the throat. Then, Jesus Christ, Martinez whispered. Jesus Christ, someone stop him. But nobody could. The door was locked. They could only watch. Lena's voice cut through the carnage. Rex, heel! The dog stopped immediately, mid-attack, stood over the operative's body, teeth bared, blood on his muzzle, but no longer moving. Heel! Lena repeated, her voice weaker now. Good boy, it's over. Heel! Rex walked to her, sat beside her, whined low in his throat. A sound of distress, of anguish, of a creature that had just broken every rule it had ever learned and didn't know how to process that. Lena's hand found his head, stroked his fur. Good boy. You're a good boy. Not your fault. Good boy. Then her eyes rolled back and she collapsed. The lockdown lifted 3 seconds later. The door slammed open and 12 trainees poured into the room. Riker got to Lena first, dropped to his knees beside her. Medic, medic now. Her pulse was there but weak. Both of her legs were bent at wrong angles, already swelling. Internal damage, definitely. How much he couldn't tell. Rex growled when Riker got close. A warning. The first time the dog had ever shown aggression toward any of them. Easy boy, Riker said, voice shaking. I'm trying to help her. Easy. The dog's eyes, usually so calm, so controlled, looked wild now. Confused. Like he'd woken up from a nightmare and didn't know where he was. She's alive, Thompson said, checking her vitals. But we need to get her to medical now. Those are compound fractures in both legs, possible internal bleeding. Base medical is 8 minutes away. Martinez was already on his radio. I need all of you to shut up and let me concentrate. Brennan had the medical kit out, was already working on stabilizing her legs. Martinez, call it in. Thompson, get me every blanket in this building. She's going into shock. Riker, you and Collins secure the perimeter in case there are more hostiles. Williams, check those 3 for vitals. For a moment, everyone just stared at Brennan. The quiet kid from Montana who never spoke unless spoken to was suddenly issuing orders like a field commander. Move, he barked. She took hits meant for us. The least we can do is keep her alive. They moved, following orders from a peer for the first time since basic training. Because he was right, because she'd saved them, because leaving her to die was unthinkable. Riker checked the 3 operatives. All dead or dying. Rex had done more than neutralize them. He'd destroyed them. Completely. Brutally. Finally. Who were they? Collins asked, staring at the bodies. Who the hell were they? I don't know. Riker found a patch on one of their uniforms. No identifying marks, no unit insignia. Professional military gear, but no nation flags. Ghost operators. Deniable assets. Someone had sent killers, professional killers, after a 22-year-old training instructor. which meant Lena Cross was a lot more than what she appeared to be. The medics arrived in 6 minutes instead of 8. Found Brennan already had her, stabilized her vitals, maintained her injuries, documented. "Good work, son," the lead medic said as they loaded her onto the stretcher. "You might have saved her life." "She saved ours," Brennan replied, "just returning the favor." They took her away, sirens fading into the distance, leaving 12 trainees standing in a training facility that had become a crime scene. Rex sat exactly where Lena had collapsed, staring at the spot, whining softly. He wouldn't move when they tried to coax him, wouldn't eat when they brought food, just sat and waited and mourned. "What do we do now?" Martinez asked quietly. Riker looked at the blood on the floor, at the bodies covered with tarps, at the service dog who just committed violence to protect the one person he loved most in the world. "Now, Hunno," he said slowly, "we figure out who the hell our instructor really is, and why someone wants her dead badly enough to send a kill team." The investigation started within hours. Naval intelligence, FBI, Homeland Security, everyone wanted answers. The trainees were separated, questioned individually. The story was the same from all of them. Armed hostiles instructor gave orders to evacuate. They complied under protest. She stayed behind to draw fire. They didn't mention Riker's attempt to pull her out. Didn't mention the moment of hesitation before they ran. Didn't mention how badly they wanted to stay and fight. Some lies of omission protect the truth better than speaking ever could. Riker sat in the interrogation room, told his version of events, and watched the federal agent's face stay carefully neutral. "And you're certain Instructor Cross didn't know these attackers? She called them hostiles, not by name, just hostiles. Did she seem surprised by the attack?" Riker thought about that, about Lena's face in that moment. "No, she seemed ready, like she'd been expecting something like this to happen eventually." The agent made a note. Expecting. Not expecting this, but expecting something. She moved too fast, called the shots too clean. She knew what to do immediately. Riker leaned forward. Who is she really? Because a 22-year-old training instructor doesn't move like that unless she's had training that goes way beyond standard military. That's classified. 3 men tried to kill her in front of 12 witnesses. I think we're past classified. The agent closed his notebook. Instructor Cross's background is need to know. You don't need to know. The hell I don't. She nearly died protecting us. And you should be grateful she was well trained enough to do so. The agent stood. You're dismissed, Trainee Donovan. Return to your barracks. Don't discuss this incident with anyone outside your unit. If you are approached by media or outside parties, refer them to base public affairs. Understood. Understood? Riker said through gritted teeth. He was lying. He understood nothing, and he was absolutely going to discuss it with his unit. That night, all 12 of them gathered in the barracks, breaking about 6 different rules, not caring about any of them. I asked around, Thompson said quietly, called some contacts in intelligence. Nobody will talk about her. Not a single person. I got threatened twice just for asking. I checked her service record, Collins added. Or tried to. It's sealed, like sealed. Presidential level classification. I've never seen anything like it. What about the attackers? Brennan asked. Williams shook his head. Ghost operators, no identifying marks, no traceable weapons. The kind of people who don't exist on paper. The kind governments use when they want plausible deniability. So someone in a government wanted her dead, Martinez said slowly. Question is which government and why? I might know part of that. Riker pulled out his phone, showed them a photo he'd taken secretly during the chaos. A tattoo on one of the dead operatives' wrists. A small symbol that looked like a chess piece, a rook maybe inside a circle. That mean anything to anyone? He asked. The room stayed silent for a long moment. Then Peterson, who'd been quiet until now, spoke up. I've seen that before, in Afghanistan. On a guy we were told never existed, he was running a black ops network. Completely off books. The kind that does things governments can't admit to. So these were American operators. Thompson sounded horrified. Or Russian, or Chinese, or British. That symbol isn't nation-specific. It's something else. Something above nations. Peterson looked uncomfortable. I asked about it once, got told to forget I ever saw it, got threatened with court-martial if I pursued it. Jesus, someone whispered. So what do we do? Collins asked. Just pretend this didn't happen. Pretend our instructor isn't being hunted by shadow government operatives. We do our jobs, Brennan said firmly. We train, we learn. And if she comes back, we give her the respect she earned by taking those hits instead of us. If she comes back, Riker said quietly. Those were compound fractures in both legs. That's months of recovery, maybe years. She might never walk right again. The thought hung in the air like smoke. Their instructor, the woman who'd embarrassed them, humbled them, taught them, and ultimately saved them, might be permanently broken because she chose to be a human shield. I need to see her, Riker said suddenly. I need to tell her. Tell her what Martinez cut him off. Tell her you're sorry. Sorry for what? For being an ass on day one, for nearly getting her killed by not evacuating fast enough. What could you possibly say that would matter? Riker didn't have an answer to that, so he stayed silent and hated himself for it. The silence stretched on heavy and uncomfortable until someone's phone buzzed. Thompson checked it, then stood up so fast his chair scraped across the floor. She's out of surgery, he said. Stable, serious condition. No visitors except immediate family. She has family. Collins sounded surprised. File says no living relatives, Williams confirmed. Parents deceased, no siblings, no spouse. So she's alone in that hospital room, Brennan said softly. Recovering from injuries she took for us. Alone. That made it worse somehow. Made the guilt sharper. Made the weight of what happened press down harder on all of them. Rex Orine, Martinez said suddenly. What happened to Rex? Nobody knew. The dog had been there when they left. Gone when they got back from interrogation. Probably taken by animal control or military police or whoever handled service animals in crisis situations. He'll be put down, Peterson said flatly. He killed 2 people and critically injured a 3rd. Doesn't matter that it was justified. Doesn't matter that they were trying to kill his handler. Military working dogs that show that level of aggression get euthanized. It's protocol. That's not right. Brennan stood up. That dog saved our lives, saved her life, and we're just gonna let them kill him. What are we supposed to do about it? Thompson asked. We're trainees. We have 0 authority, 0 pull, and you want to go up against military bureaucracy to save a dog that by the book violated every rule in his training. Yes, Brennan said simply. Yes, that's exactly what I want to do. He looked around the room. How many of you would be dead right now if that dog hadn't done what he did? How many of us would have run back in that room, tried to be heroes and gotten shot? How many of us owe our lives to a dog that broke his conditioning to save us? Slowly, one by one, every hand in the room went up. Even Riker's. Especially Riker's, because he'd been the one trying to play hero. Rex had probably saved his life specifically. Then we fight for him, Brennan said. I don't know how. I don't know if we'll win, but we try. Agreed. Agreed, they said in unison. For the first time since they'd arrived at this base, all 12 of them were united. Not by pride or competition or desire to prove themselves, but by debt, by honor, by the understanding that some things matter more than protocol. They just had no idea how hard that fight would be, or what they'd learn about Lena Cross in the process. The truth, as they were about to discover, was so much bigger than any of them had imagined. The hospital corridor smelled like disinfectant and fear. Riker had been sitting in the same plastic chair for 6 hours, elbows on his knees, head in his hands. The blood on his knuckles had dried to a dark brown crust. He hadn't bothered washing it off. You need to leave. The nurse had told him that 4 times already. No visitors except immediate family. She doesn't have family. Riker's voice came out hoarse. There's nobody else. Then she has no visitors. Hospital policy. I'm sorry. Sorry. Everyone kept saying sorry. The base commander was sorry. The investigating officers were sorry. The chaplain who'd shown up unasked was very, very sorry. None of them had watched her legs break. None of them had heard the sound it made. Martinez appeared around the corner carrying 2 cups of terrible cafeteria coffee. He handed one to Riker without speaking, dropped into the chair beside him. They sat in silence for maybe 3 minutes before Martinez finally said, Brennan got arrested. Riker's head snapped up. What? Tried to break into the military police kennel, said he was going to liberate Rex before they could put him down. Martinez took a sip of coffee, made a face. Thompson's trying to bail him out now. Well, not bail, we're military, whatever the equivalent is. Is Rex still alive? For now, there's a hearing scheduled for tomorrow morning. Destruction of military property, excessive force, failure to respond to commands. They've got a whole list. Martinez stared at his coffee cup. He's gonna lose. Dogs that kill people get put down. Doesn't matter the circumstances. He saved our lives. I know. Doesn't matter. Rules are rules. Riker wanted to throw something, wanted to scream, wanted to go back in time 4 days and punch himself in the face before he ever opened his mouth to mock Lena Cross. I was such an ass, he said quietly. You know that? Such a complete ass. Yeah, Martinez didn't sugarcoat it. You were. I called her weak, called Rex an emotional support dog, made jokes about her being too small, too young, too... He couldn't finish. The words stuck in his throat like broken glass. And she still saved you, Martinez said. Shoved you out that door. Could have run herself. Could have let us fight. Could have done 100 different things. But she put herself between us and those bullets. Why? The question came out broken. Why would she do that? We treated her like garbage. Because that's what leaders do. Real ones, not the kind who bark orders and expect obedience. The kind who take the hits meant for their people. Martinez crushed his empty cup. My dad was military, 26 years. He used to say you can always tell a real leader by what they do when everything goes wrong. Fake leaders run or hide or throw someone else under the bus. Real leaders step forward, even when it costs them everything. A doctor emerged from the intensive care unit pulling off surgical gloves. Riker was on his feet instantly. How is she? The doctor looked exhausted. Are you family? We're her unit. Please, just tell us. The doctor studied them for a long moment, then sighed. Both tibias shattered. Left femur fractured in 3 places. Significant soft tissue damage. We've stabilized her, but the road to recovery is going to be long. Very long. Months of physical therapy. She may never regain full mobility. The words hit like physical blows. Never regain full mobility. Lena, who moved like water, who could take down 12 men without breathing hard, who'd built her entire life around being faster, smarter, more capable than anyone expected. Can we see her? Riker asked. She's sedated, won't be conscious for hours. And again, no visitors except, I know, family only. Riker's hands clenched into fists. Can you at least tell her something when she wakes up? Tell her we tried to stay. Tell her we wanted to fight with her. Tell her we're sorry. I can tell her you were here, the doctor said carefully. The rest you'll have to tell her yourself, if they ever change the visitor policy. He walked away, leaving Riker and Martinez standing in a corridor that suddenly felt too small, too bright, too clean for the weight of what had happened. I'm going to that hearing tomorrow, Riker said suddenly. For Rex, I'm going to testify. They won't let you. You're not qualified as an expert witness. Then I'll make them let me. I'll camp outside the hearing room. I'll make enough noise that they have to acknowledge me. Riker turned to face Martinez. That dog broke every rule he knew to save her life, to save our lives, and we're just going to stand here and let them kill him for it. What else can we do? I don't know yet, but I'll figure something out. He didn't sleep that night. Couldn't sleep. Kept seeing Lena's face in that moment before the door closed. The absolute certainty in her eyes. She'd known she was going to die, had accepted it, had done it anyway. At 0400, he gave up trying to rest, went to the base law library, a dusty room full of military regulations and legal precedents that nobody ever used. Started reading, looking for loopholes, technicalities, anything that might save Rex's life. 3 hours later, he found something. Buried in a regulation from 1987, updated in 2003, barely noticed by anyone. Military working dogs could be retired under exceptional circumstances if their handler requested it and if their service record justified early retirement. And Rex's service record was exemplary. 8 years, 47 confirmed hostile neutralizations, 0 friendly fire incidents, 0 failures to perform assigned duties. Until yesterday. But yesterday wasn't a failure. Yesterday was the only possible success given impossible circumstances. Riker copied the regulation, printed it 6 times, and headed to the hearing with documentation in hand and absolutely no idea if this would work. The hearing room was small, sterile, and packed with people who looked like they'd rather be literally anywhere else. A military judge, two advocates, a veterinary specialist, a behavioral expert, and Rex muzzled and chained in the corner, looking smaller than Riker had ever seen him. The dog's eyes found Riker's, held them, and Riker saw something there he'd never seen before in an animal grief. Pure human grief. Rex knew Lena was hurt, knew she wasn't coming, knew something had gone terribly permanently wrong with his world. This hearing is to determine the fate of military working dog Rex service number K94471, the judge began, following an incident on May 28th in which the animal killed two individuals and critically injured a third. Advocate for the prosecution, present your case. The prosecution advocate stood a captain with cold eyes and a voice like gravel. The facts are simple, Your Honor. MWD Rex engaged in lethal force against three individuals, resulting in two fatalities and one critical injury. While the individuals were identified as hostile combatants, the level of force employed by the animal exceeded all training parameters and established protocols. Military working dogs are trained to neutralize threats, not to kill. Rex's actions demonstrate a fundamental breakdown in conditioning and an unacceptable level of aggression. For the safety of all personnel, we recommend immediate euthanization. Advocate for the defense. A young lieutenant stood looking nervous. Your Honor, while we acknowledge the severity of MWD Rex's actions, we must consider the context. The animal's handler was under direct lethal threat. Both of her legs had been broken. She was incapacitated and vulnerable. Rex's actions, while extreme, were in defense of human life, specifically the life of his handler and 12 trainees who were in the line of fire. The dog killed two people, the prosecutor cut in, shredded them. The medical examiner's report is, we've all read the report, the judge interrupted. The question isn't whether Rex killed. The question is whether that action warrants destruction of the animal. She looked at the behavioral expert. Dr. Kerrigan, your assessment. The expert, a woman in her 50s with kind eyes and gray hair, opened her file. MWD Rex's psychological profile has been exemplary for 8 years. No signs of aggression toward friendly personnel, no failures in threat discrimination, no instances of excessive force. What happened on May 28th represents a singular event, a psychological break triggered by extreme stress and the perception that his handler was in mortal danger. Can you guarantee it won't happen again? The judge asked. The expert hesitated. No, I cannot guarantee that. What I can say is that Rex's bond with his handler is extraordinarily strong. Unusually strong, even for military working dogs. The trauma of seeing her injured may have created a permanent psychological association, protect her at all costs. That kind of conditioning doesn't simply reset. So he's dangerous. He's loyal, there's a difference. The prosecutor stood again. With respect, Dr. Loyalty that results in 2 deaths is still dangerous. We cannot risk. The door at the back of the room slammed open. Every head turned. Brennan walked in, flanked by Thompson and Collins, all 3 of them in dress uniforms, all 3 of them looking like they were ready to fight. You're not authorized to be here, the prosecutor said. We're witnesses, Brennan replied calmly. We were present during the incident. We have testimony relevant to this hearing. The judge raised an eyebrow. You're trainees. You have no standing in this proceeding. Then we'll wait outside and make enough noise that you'll hear us anyway. Brennan didn't move, son. That dog saved 12 lives, ma'am. We owe him the chance to speak on his behalf. Dogs don't speak. No, ma'am, but we do, and we're speaking for him. The judge studied them for a long moment. Then, surprisingly, she nodded. Make it brief. Brennan stepped forward. On May 28th, at approximately 14:30 hours, our training exercise was interrupted by hostile fire. 3 armed combatants breached the facility with apparent intent to kill or capture Instructor Cross. She immediately ordered all trainees to evacuate. We complied. She stayed behind to draw fire and create time for our escape. His voice didn't waver, didn't shake, just stated facts like he was reading from a report. Through the observation window, we witnessed Instructor Cross engage all 3 hostiles. She neutralized one, injured another before the 3rd hostile used a baton to break both of her legs. She went down, could not stand, could not defend herself. At that point, MWD Rex engaged. We know what Rex did, the prosecutor interrupted. We have the medical examiners. You know what he did. You don't know why. Brennan's eyes locked on the prosecutor. Rex didn't attack because he's vicious. He attacked because 12 men who should have protected his handler were locked outside a door watching her die. He did what we couldn't do, what we should have done. He saved her life. By killing 2 people. By eliminating the threats that were actively trying to murder her. Sir, with respect, if I had been in that room with a weapon, I would have done the same thing. Would you court-martial me for that? Or would you call it justified force? The prosecutor's jaw tightened. You're not a dog. You can make moral judgments. And Rex made the only judgment that mattered. His handler's life was worth more than the enemy's. That's not a failure of training. That's exactly what we're all taught. Mission first, people always. The judge held up a hand. That's enough. I understand your position. With respect, ma'am, I don't think you do. Riker stood now, pulling out his printed regulations. I've been researching military working dog protocols. There's a provision for early retirement under exceptional circumstances. MWD Rex has 8 years of exemplary service, 47 confirmed hostile neutralizations, 0 friendly fire incidents. His record justifies retirement. He killed 2 people yesterday, the prosecutor said flatly. He killed 2 hostiles who were actively trying to murder a U.S. military instructor. In any other context, we'd call that heroism. We'd pin a medal on him. Riker's voice rose despite his efforts to stay calm. The only reason we're having this hearing is because he's a dog. Because we don't like acknowledging that sometimes animals understand loyalty better than we do. Trainee Donovan, I was there, ma'am. I saw what happened. I saw Instructor Cross choose to die so we could live. I saw her take hits meant for us. And I saw her dog, her partner, do what every single one of us would have done if we'd been able to. He fought for her, killed for her, broke every rule he'd ever learned because rules don't matter when someone you love is dying in front of you. The room went silent. The judge looked at Rex, still chained in the corner, still watching with those grief-filled eyes. This hearing is in recess, she said finally. I need time to review the evidence and testimony. We'll reconvene at 1400 hours. She stood and left. The advocates followed. The experts followed. Until it was just Riker, Brennan, Thompson, Collins, and a dog who'd killed to protect the one person he loved most in the world. Riker walked to Rex slowly, carefully. The dog's ears went back uncertain. Hey, boy! Riker knelt down, stayed out of biting range, kept his voice soft. She's alive. You did good. You saved her, Senator. She's going to be okay. Rex's tail moved, just slightly, a tentative wag that looked like a question, really. You promise, I promise, Riker said, and hoped desperately he wasn't lying. At 1400 hours, they reconvened. The judge looked tired, looked like she'd aged 5 years and 2 hours. I've reviewed all evidence, testimony, and relevant regulations, she began. This is an extraordinarily difficult case. On one hand, MWD Rex clearly exceeded all training parameters and employed lethal force in a manner inconsistent with his conditioning. On the other hand, the circumstances were exceptional. His handler was incapacitated and under direct lethal threat. She paused, looked at Rex. However, the law is clear. Military working dogs that demonstrate this level of aggression, regardless of justification, represent an unacceptable risk to personnel safety. I cannot, in good conscience, allow an animal capable of this level of violence to remain in active service. Riker's heart sank. Therefore, the judge continued, MWD Rex is hereby retired from active duty, effective immediately. He will not be returned to service. He will not be reassigned to a new handler. The prosecutor smiled, thinking he'd won. He will be placed in the custody of his former handler, Instructor Lena Cross, as soon as she is medically cleared to care for him. Until that time, he will remain in temporary foster care under the supervision of qualified personnel who understand his psychological state and can provide appropriate support. The smile died. Wait, the prosecutor stood. Your Honor, that's not, we recommended euthanization, not retirement. I heard your recommendation, Captain. I'm choosing a different path. Rex's service record speaks for itself. 8 years of exemplary performance. One incident of extreme violence under extreme circumstances does not negate those 8 years. He's earned retirement, not execution. The judge's voice hardened. This hearing is concluded. Rex will be released to temporary foster care pending his handler's recovery. Dismissed. She stood and left before the prosecutor could object further. Riker felt like he could breathe for the first time in 24 hours. Brennan was grinning. Thompson looked like he might cry. Collins just nodded, satisfied. They'd won. Against protocol, against regulations, against a system designed to eliminate problems rather than solve them, they'd won. A handler appeared to take Rex to his temporary placement. The dog resisted at first, pulling toward the door that led to the hospital, whining low in his throat. "She's not there, buddy," Riker said quietly. "But you'll see her again. I promise. She's coming back." Rex looked at him with those two intelligent eyes. Looked like he wanted to believe but couldn't quite manage it. "I know," Riker said. "I know you're scared. But she's tougher than she looks. You know that better than anyone. She's going to fight through this. And when she does, you'll be waiting for her." "Okay." The dog's tail wagged once, tentative, hopeful. They led him away, and Riker felt something break loose in his chest. Relief, maybe, or guilt finally finding a crack to escape through. "We should go see her, Twan," Brennan said. "Even if we can't get in the room, we should be there." They went back to the hospital, found the same nurse, got the same answer: no visitors except immediate family. But this time Riker had an argument ready. "She doesn't have immediate family, and that dog we just saved from execution is going to need somewhere to go when he's released from foster care. Someone needs to make decisions about her care, her recovery, her future. And since she has no legal next of kin, that responsibility falls to her unit, which is us." The nurse looked skeptical. "That's not how it works." "Then tell me how it works. Tell me who makes decisions for a soldier with no family when she's unconscious and medically incapacitated. Because I've been reading regulations all night, and I'm pretty sure the answer is designated representative from her chain of command. And we're the closest thing she has to a chain of command right now." That was mostly bullshit. Riker had no idea if that was actually how it worked, but he said it with enough confidence that the nurse hesitated. "I'll ask the doctor," she said finally. 15 minutes later, the doctor appeared. Same exhausted expression, same careful neutrality. "You're not immediate family." "She doesn't have immediate family," Riker repeated. "We're her trainees, the people she saved, the only people she has." The doctor studied them. "You understand she's seriously injured. She may not wake up for days, and when she does, she's going to be in significant pain. The recovery process is going to be brutal. She'll need support, real support, not just people showing up out of guilt." "It's not guilt," Brennan said quietly. "Well, it is, but it's more than that. She taught us something important, and we're not done learning from her yet." The doctor's expression softened just slightly. 5 minutes, one at a time. Don't touch anything. Don't disturb her. Understood?" "Understood." Riker went first, walked into the ICU room feeling like he was walking into a church. Everything too quiet, too still, too fragile. Lena looked smaller than he remembered. Paler, both legs in casts elevated, surrounded by machines that beeped and hummed. Her face was peaceful, though, relaxed in a way he'd never seen while she was conscious. He pulled a chair to her bedside, sat down carefully. "Hey," he said quietly, "I know you can't hear me, or maybe you can. I don't know how that works, but I'm going to talk anyway because I need to say this." The machines kept beeping, kept humming, kept tracking a life that was still there but badly damaged. "I was wrong about you, completely wrong. I thought you were weak because you were small. Thought you didn't belong because you were young. Thought you needed a paw because you were afraid." His voice cracked. "I was so damn stupid. And you saved me anyway. Saved all of us, even after I was an ass to you, even after I disrespected you. You still put yourself between us and those bullets." He wiped his eyes roughly. "Rex is okay. We fought for him at the hearing. Got him retired instead of euthanized. He's in foster care until you can take him back. And you are taking him back. You hear me? You're going to recover. You're going to walk again. You're going to come back and finish training us because we need you. I need you to show me how to be better, how to be the kind of person who runs toward danger instead of away from it." The door opened quietly. The nurse gestured, "Time's up." Riker stood, looked at Lena's peaceful face one more time. "Don't give up," he whispered. "Please, we just found you. Don't leave yet." He walked out. Martinez went in next, then Thompson, then Brennan. One by one, they said their piece to an unconscious woman who changed everything they thought they knew about strength. That night, back in the barracks, nobody spoke for a long time, just sat with their thoughts and their guilt and their fear. What happens if she doesn't recover? Collins finally asked. She will, Riker said with more confidence than he felt. But what if she doesn't? What if those injuries are too severe? What if she can't walk again? Can't teach again, can't? Then we make sure she knows she still matters. Riker's voice was firm. That her life has value beyond what she can do for us. That we're here not because we need her to be strong, but because she is strong, in ways we're still learning to understand. Martinez looked at him with something like respect. When did you become wise? About 24 hours ago, when I watched the toughest person I've ever met choose to die for people who didn't deserve it. Riker stood, paced to the window. I keep thinking about what she said, about survival versus fighting, about how she doesn't fight to win, she fights to continue. What's that mean? Thompson asked. It means winning isn't the point. Staying alive is, staying in the fight, refusing to give up even when everything says you should. He turned to face them. Those guys broke her legs, thought that would end her, but they didn't break her, and Rex made damn sure they understood the difference. You think she'll really come back? Brennan's voice was small, vulnerable. I think she doesn't know how to quit. I think quitting isn't in her programming. I think she'll claw her way back from this if it kills her. Riker smiled grimly. And I think we better be ready to work our asses off when she does, because she's going to expect more from us now. Why? Because we've seen what she's willing to sacrifice. And that means we don't get to coast anymore. Don't get to be mediocre. Don't get to waste the second chance she gave us. He looked at each of them. She bought that second chance with her legs. The least we can do is make it count. The silence that followed was different, not empty or awkward, full of understanding, of commitment, of 12 men realizing that everything changed the moment those bullets started flying. 3 days passed. Lena didn't wake up. The doctors said that was normal. Her body was healing, conserving resources, dealing with trauma. But every day that passed without her opening her eyes made the fear grow stronger. On the fourth day, Riker was back in his usual chair in the hospital corridor when a man in a dark suit approached him. Trainee Donovan, Riker looked up. That's me. I need you to come with me. We need to talk about Instructor Cross. Something in the man's voice made Riker's skin prickle. Who are you? Someone who knows exactly who she is and exactly why those men tried to kill her. The man's expression was unreadable. The question is, do you really want to know the truth? Because once you hear it, you can't unhear it. And it will change everything you thought you understood about the woman in that hospital bed. Riker stood slowly. I want to know. Then follow me, and don't tell anyone where you're going, for their safety and yours. The man led Riker to a secure room 3 buildings away from the hospital. No windows, soundproof walls, a single table with 2 chairs. The kind of room where conversations happened that never made it into official reports. Sit, the man said. Not aggressive, just matter of fact. Riker sat. His heart was hammering, but he kept his face neutral. You said you know who she is. I know who she was, past tense, because the woman in that hospital bed doesn't exist anymore. Not officially. The man pulled out a tablet, swiped through encrypted files. What I'm about to tell you is classified at the highest level. You repeat any of this, you'll spend the next 20 years in Leavenworth. Understood? Understood. Lena Cross isn't her real name. It's her 4th identity in 6 years. Before that, she was Sarah Mitchell. Before that, Elena Reyes. Before that, something else entirely that even I don't have clearance to know. He turned the tablet around. This is her real file, not the sanitized version they gave you. Riker stared at the screen. The woman in the photo looked like Lena, same face, same eyes, but younger. Harder. Standing in tactical gear beside people whose faces were blacked out. She was recruited at 16, the man continued. Tested off the charts for spatial awareness, threat assessment, psychological manipulation. They put her through a program that doesn't exist on any official record. Trained her to do things that governments can't admit to doing. What things? Infiltration, extraction, elimination. She's been in 43 hostile situations in 6 years. Survived all of them. completed 39 missions that prevented catastrophic events most people will never know almost happened. The man's voice stayed flat, clinical. She's saved more lives than you can count and killed more people than you want to know about. Riker felt sick. She's an assassin. She's a surgeon. She removes problems before they metastasize. There's a difference. The man pulled up another file. 2 years ago, she was burned. Someone inside the agency leaked her identity to hostile networks. She had 48 hours to disappear before every enemy she'd ever made came looking for blood. So we gave her a new face, new name, new life. Buried her so deep, even ghosts couldn't find her. Clearly, they found her. Clearly, the man's jaw tightened, which means someone very high up sold her out. Again, someone who knows our protocols, our safe houses, our placement strategies. Why are you telling me this? Because she saved 12 lives at the cost of her own mobility. Because those 12 lives include future officers, future leaders, future decision makers in our military. Because she deserves better than to die in the dark with nobody knowing who she really was. The man leaned forward. And because you're going to help me find who betrayed her. Riker blinked. I'm a trainee. I have zero authority, zero resources, zero. You have something better. You have access to her unit, to the people around her who might notice things professionals would miss. The man's eyes were cold. Someone on that base is feeding information to the people who want her dead. Could be an officer, could be support staff, could be another trainee. I need eyes on the ground, people who have a reason to be watching. You want me to spy? I want you to protect her. There's a difference. The man stood. Those 3 operatives who attacked her, they were the opening move, not the end game. Whoever sent them knows she survived, knows she's vulnerable. They'll send more, better prepared this time, better armed. And unless we find the leak, they'll keep coming until she's dead. So what am I supposed to do? Pay attention. Notice who asks questions they shouldn't, who shows up places they don't belong, who seems too interested in her condition, her location, her security. The man headed for the door. And keep her alive long enough for us to clean this up. Think you can handle that? I don't have a choice, do I? No, neither does she. Neither do any of us. The man paused at the door. One more thing. That dog of hers, Rex. He wasn't trained as a service dog. He was trained as a kill weapon. Stealth infiltration. Throat strikes. Elimination without evidence. They retired that program 3 years ago after it got too effective. Too brutal. Rex and 3 others were the last of the line. Riker's mouth went dry. You're saying Rex is... I'm saying that dog has more confirmed kills than most special forces operators. And what you saw 4 days ago, that wasn't him losing control. That was him reverting to original programming. Protecting his handler by any means necessary. The man opened the door. The question you should be asking yourself is why they paired the deadliest dog in the program with their most valuable asset. And what that says about how dangerous her life really is. He left. Riker sat alone in the soundproof room, processing an information that rewrote everything he thought he knew. Lena wasn't a training instructor. She was a weapon wrapped in human skin. A ghost who'd saved thousands of lives by taking dozens. A person so dangerous that even her own government couldn't protect her without hiding her in plain sight. And he'd mocked her, called her weak, treated her like a joke. The shame hit so hard he couldn't breathe for a moment. When he finally made it back to the barracks, Martinez took one look at his face and said, "What happened?" "Can't tell you. Classified." Riker dropped onto his bunk. "But I need you to do something for me. All of you. I need you to watch everyone on this base. Officers, support staff, other trainees. Anyone who seems too interested in Lena's condition or location." "Why?" Thompson asked. "Because the people who tried to kill her aren't done, and someone here is helping them." The room went silent. Collins spoke first. "You're saying there's a traitor on base. I'm saying someone's feeding information to the wrong people. And until we figure out who Lena's in danger, even in that hospital bed." "We're trainees," Brennan pointed out. "We can't investigate. We can watch. We can listen. We can notice things." Riker sat up. "You served in Afghanistan, Peterson. You know how insurgents worked, how they had inside sources, how they always seemed one step ahead." Peterson nodded slowly. Someone local feeding them intelligence. Usually someone you'd never suspect. Exactly, so we suspect everyone. We trust no one, and we keep her alive until the professionals can clean this mess up. This is insane, Martinez said, but he didn't sound like he was disagreeing, just stating fact. Yeah, it is, but she took bullets meant for us, literally. So now we return the favor. They started the next morning. Split up, took different shifts at the hospital, different routes across base, different observation points, watching for patterns, anomalies, anything that felt wrong. For 3 days, they found nothing. Just normal base operations, normal personnel doing normal jobs, normal everything. Then on the 4th day, Thompson noticed something. There's a maintenance guy, he said during their evening debrief. Shows up outside the ICU twice a day. Says he's checking HVAC systems, but he never actually goes into the mechanical rooms. Just stands in the hallway for 5 minutes. Looks around. Leaves. Could be nothing, Colin said. Could be, but he's there like clockwork. Oh, 900 and 1500. Every day. Same pattern. Riker felt his instincts prickle. Description. White male 40s, maybe 5'10", dark hair going gray. Name tag says Morrison, works for base facilities. I'll check his credentials, Martinez said. See if he's actually assigned to that area. 2 hours later, Martinez came back looking pale. Morrison's real. Been working on base for 6 years. Clean background check. No red flags. But Riker could hear the unspoken word. But he transferred to this base 3 months ago, right after Lena got assigned here. Could be coincidence. I don't believe in coincidence anymore. The next morning, Riker positioned himself in the hospital corridor with a newspaper and a coffee, looking like he was just waiting for visiting hours. When Morrison showed up at 0900, Riker watched him over the edge of his paper. The maintenance guy did exactly what Thompson described. Stood in the hallway, looked around, checked his phone twice. Never touched any equipment. Left after 5 minutes. But just before leaving, he glanced at Lena's door. Just once. Quick, like he was confirming something. Riker's blood went cold. He waited until Morrison rounded the corner, then followed. Kept his distance. Stayed casual. Watched the maintenance guy head not to the facility's office, but to a supply closet on the 3rd floor. Morrison went inside. Riker counted to 30, then eased the door open a crack. Morrison was on his phone. Yeah, she's still in ICU, still unconscious. Security's light. 2 guards, both armed, but they're focused on external threats. Nobody's watching the interior approaches. Riker couldn't hear the other side of the conversation. Didn't need to. I can get access, Morrison continued. Medical staff don't question maintenance. I can be in and out in 3 minutes. Make it look like equipment failure, ventilator malfunction. Happens all the time in hospitals. Riker's hand moved to his phone, started recording, kept the door cracked just enough to capture audio. Payment on completion, right, same as last time. Morrison listened. Fine, tonight, 0200 hours. Minimal staff, I'll handle it. The call ended. Morrison pocketed his phone, turned toward the door. Riker was already gone. Moving fast but quiet, heart hammering, mind racing. They were going to kill her tonight, in her hospital bed, while she was defenseless. He made it back to the barracks in record time, burst through the door. We have a problem. The others looked up from various activities, Martinez cleaning his rifle, Thompson reading Brennan, writing letters home. Morrison's the leak. He's planning to kill Lena tonight at 0200. Make it look like equipment failure. You're sure? Martinez was already on his feet. I recorded him. He's talking to someone about payment, about access, about making it quick and clean. We need to tell someone, Colin said. Base security, the man in the suit, someone. No time, it's 1700 now. By the time we go through channels, verify, get authorization, it'll be past midnight. Morrison will have already moved. Riker paced. We have to handle this ourselves. Handle it how hard? Thompson looked nervous. We're not police, we're not investigators. We can protect our instructor. That's our job, our duty. Riker stopped pacing. Here's what we do. Martinez, you and Peterson get to the hospital now. Casual visit. But you stay. You find reasons to be in that corridor. One of you inside her room, one outside. You don't let anyone in except authorized medical staff. They'll kick us out, Peterson said. Then you make noise. Cause a scene. Be difficult. Buy time. And the rest of us? Brennan asked. We set a trap. Morrison thinks he's got easy access. We let him think that. Let him walk into the room, then we grab him. That's assault, Collins pointed out. That's citizen's arrest. He's planning murder. We have evidence. Riker looked at each of them. I know this is asking a lot. I know we could get court-martialed for this, but she's got nobody else. If we don't do this, she dies tonight. The silence stretched for maybe 10 seconds. Then Brennan stood up. I'm in. Me too, Thompson said. One by one, they all agreed. 12 trainees against base protocol military regulations and a killer who'd been operating in the shadows for months. Martinez and Peterson headed to the hospital immediately. The rest of them spent the next 6 hours planning, reviewing hospital layouts, timing security patrols, figuring out sight lines and approaches. At 1:30, they moved into position. Riker and Brennan in Lena's room, hidden behind equipment. Thompson and Collins in the hallway, pretending to have an argument about something stupid. Williams and Harper at the stairwell exits. Rodriguez and Shaw watching the elevators. At 01:47, Morrison appeared. Maintenance uniform. ID badge, rolling cart with tools. Everything perfectly normal. He nodded at the guards. Got a call about fluctuating oxygen levels in ICU. Need to check the wall units. The guards glanced at each other. We didn't hear about any automated alert. Came in 20 minutes ago. Should be in the system. Morrison showed them something on his tablet. Whatever it was convinced them. They waved him through. Thompson and Collins's argument got louder, drawing the guards' attention. Morrison slipped past into the ICU ward. Riker's heart was pounding so hard he was sure Morrison would hear it. Next to him, Brennan was barely breathing. Morrison entered Lena's room, closed the door quietly, moved to her bedside with practiced efficiency, pulled something from his pocket, a syringe preloaded. Step away from her. Riker's voice cut through the darkness. Morrison froze. Who? The lights came on. Riker and Brennan stepped out from behind the equipment. Morrison's hand moved toward his pocket, toward a weapon probably. Brennan was faster, tackled him away from Lena's bed. The syringe went flying. Morrison fought back harder than expected, trained movements that spoke to military background. But Brennan had 40 pounds on him and youth on his side. He pinned Morrison face down, wrenched his arms back. What's in the syringe? Riker demanded. I don't know what you're talking about. You're in a patient's room at 0200 with an unauthorized syringe. You want to try that lie again? The door burst open. The guards rushed in, weapons drawn. What the hell is going on? This man was attempting to administer an unauthorized injection to Instructor Cross, Riker said calmly, held up his phone. I have a recording of him planning to kill her earlier today. He's working for whoever sent the operatives last week. That's insane, Morrison spat. I'm base maintenance. I was checking equipment. At 200 in her room with a syringe. One of the guards grabbed Morrison's arm, hauled him up. You're under arrest. For what I didn't do anything, attempted murder, conspiracy, unauthorized access to a secure medical facility. The guard was already calling for backup. You have the right to remain silent. Morrison's expression changed. The panic dropped away, replaced by something cold, calculating. You have no idea what you've done, he said quietly, looking at Riker. The people I work for don't stop. They don't forgive. They don't forget. You just signed your own death warrants. Get him out of here, the guard ordered. They dragged Morrison away. Riker stood there, adrenaline crashing, hands shaking now that the threat was neutralized. Brennan sat down hard on the visitor's chair. Did we really just do that? We really just did that. We're going to be in so much trouble. Yeah, probably. Riker looked at Lena, still unconscious, still broken, still fighting. Worth it, though. The man in the dark suit showed up 30 minutes later, looked at the syringe in the evidence bag, looked at Riker's phone with the recording, looked at 12 trainees who just dismantled his entire investigation by handling it themselves. I told you to watch, he said, not to engage. He was going to kill her. We didn't have time to watch. Riker met his eyes. Did we get the right guy? The man was quiet for a long moment. Then reluctantly he nodded. Morrison's been on our radar for 2 months. Suspected but not confirmed. You just gave us everything we need to roll up his entire network. So we did good. You did reckless, dangerous, stupid. The man's expression softened just slightly. But yeah, you did good. He left. The guards left. The hospital settled back into quiet night shift routine. Riker stayed in Lena's room, couldn't bring himself to leave, just sat in the chair Brennan had vacated and stared at her unconscious face. We got him, he said quietly. The guy who sold you out, he's not going to hurt you anymore. And we're watching. All of us, 12 guys who you saved even though we didn't deserve it. We're not letting anyone else get close. Her vitals stayed steady on the monitor. Beep, 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 mechanical proof that she was still alive, still fighting. You need to wake up soon, Riker continued, because I have no idea what I'm doing. None of us do. We're just making this up as we go. But you know, you've done this before, survived impossible things. So wake up and show us how it's done. The machines kept beeping, kept tracking life that refused to quit. At 0347, Lena's fingers twitched. Riker almost missed it, almost convinced himself he'd imagined it. But then her hand moved again, just slightly, like she was trying to reach for something that wasn't there. Lena, he leaned forward. Can you hear me? Her eyes moved under closed lids. REM sleep maybe, or something else. If you can hear me, I need you to know something. Rex is okay. He's safe. He's waiting for you. And we're all here. Your whole unit. We're not leaving. We're not giving up on you. So you don't get to give up either. Deal? Her fingers twitched again. Maybe coincidence. Maybe reflex. Maybe she actually heard him. The nurse came in for routine vitals check. Saw Riker still sitting there. You should get some rest, she said, not unkindly. I'll rest when she wakes up. That could be days still. Then I've got days. Riker didn't move. Someone tried to kill her tonight, in this room while she was defenseless. So forgive me if I don't feel comfortable leaving her alone. The nurse's expression changed. Someone tried, are you serious? Security has the guy in custody. Ask them. Riker looked at her directly. So when you come in to check on her, I need to see your credentials. Every time. Even if I've seen them before. And if anyone else tries to enter this room, I need to verify they're supposed to be here. Understand? She nodded slowly. Understood. Thank you. She finished the vitals check and left. Riker settled back in the chair. His body was exhausted, but his mind wouldn't shut down. Kept replaying Morrison's words. The people I work for don't stop. They don't forgive. They don't forget. He believed it, which meant this wasn't over. Morrison was caught, but whoever hired him was still out there. Still dangerous. Still determined. Riker pulled out his phone. Texted the group. Morrison caught. Lena's safe for now. Need 24-hour rotation on her room. Who's got 0400 to 0800? Responses came back immediately. Brennan, I'll take it. Thompson, I'll cover 800 to 1200. Martinez, 1200 to 1600 is mine. They coordinated shifts without being asked, without hesitation. 12 men who barely knew each other 3 weeks ago now functioning like a unit, like brothers. All because one small woman with a service dog had shown them what real strength looked like. At 0400, Brennan arrived to take over. Looked at Riker's exhausted face. Get some sleep, man. I got this. Call me if anything changes, anything at all. I will. Now go. Riker forced himself to leave. Made it back to the barracks, fell into his bunk fully clothed, dreamed of breaking legs and loyal dogs and women who chose to die so others could live. Woke up 4 hours later to his phone buzzing. Text from Brennan. She moved, just her hand, but definitely on purpose. Nurses are checking her now. Riker was dressed and out the door in 90 seconds. Printed to the hospital, took the stairs 3 at a time because the elevator was too slow. Brennan met him in the hallway. They're running tests, checking brain function. Response to stimuli. Doctor says it's a good sign. How good? She might wake up today, maybe tomorrow. They can't be sure, but her vitals are improving. Brain activity is increasing. Riker felt something loosen in his chest. Relief so strong it was almost painful. The doctor emerged 20 minutes later. Same exhausted expression, but lighter now, less burdened. She's emerging from sedation naturally. We're going to reduce the pain medication gradually, let her wake up at her own pace. Could be hours, could be a full day. But her responses are strong. I'm cautiously optimistic. Can we stay, Riker asked. Family only. She doesn't have family. We're it. We're all she's got. Riker's voice was firm. And someone already tried to kill her once in that room. So with respect, doctor, we're staying. You can call security if you want, but we're not leaving her alone and vulnerable. The doctor looked at Brennan, then back at Riker, saw something in their faces that made him sigh. One at a time, visiting hours only. And if she wakes up distressed, you leave immediately so we can stabilize her. Agreed? Agreed. Riker went back to the chair he was starting to think of as his. Watched Lena's face for any sign of consciousness, any flicker of awareness. At 15:23, her eyes opened. Just barely. Just slits. But open. Looking around with confusion and pain. Lena, Riker kept his voice soft, gentle. Can you hear me? Her eyes found his, focused with visible effort. Where? The word came out as a croak, barely audible. You're in the hospital. You were injured, but you're safe. You're okay. Rex? Not a question, a demand. Where's my dog? He's safe. He's in foster care until you're cleared to take him back. He's okay. He saved you. Something shifted in her expression. Relief mixed with grief, mixed with something else Riker couldn't identify. Trainees, she whispered. We're fine. All of us. You got us out. You saved all of us. Her eyes closed again. Riker thought she'd slipped back into unconsciousness, but then she spoke again, stronger this time. Morrison. The word hit like a punch. She knew. Even unconscious, even broken, she'd known there was a threat inside the walls. We caught him last night. He tried to get to you. We stopped him. Her eyes opened again, looked at him with an intensity that made him want to look away. Want to confess everything he'd ever done wrong. You stayed. Of course we stayed. Where else would we go? Smart would be far away from me. Yeah, well, we're not that smart. Riker tried to smile. We're stubborn. You taught us that. Her lips moved. Might have been a smile. Might have been pain. Hard to tell. Hurts? I know. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Not your fault. Feels like it is. Her hand moved, reached toward him. He caught it carefully, mindful of the IV lines. You tried to pull me out, she said. Saw you, before door closed. I should have moved faster. Would have died, both of us. Her grip tightened slightly. You did right thing. Listened, followed orders. Lived. You almost didn't. Almost doesn't count. Her eyes closed again. Tired. Sleep. We'll be here when you wake up. Don't need babysitters. Too bad, you're stuck with us. That definitely was a smile. Small, pained, but real. She drifted off. Riker stayed until the nurse insisted he leave for evening rounds. Met Martinez in the hallway for the shift change. She woke up, Riker said, talked, knew about Morrison, asked about Rex. She's gonna be okay. I think so. Doctor's still not sure about her legs, about whether she'll walk normally again. But her mind's intact, her spirit's intact. Riker rubbed his face. She's still her, just broken. Broken things can be fixed. Yeah, they can. That night, the 12 of them gathered in the barracks for the first time since the attack. Everyone accounted for, everyone safe, everyone changed in ways they were still processing. So what happens now? Collins asked. Do we just wait for her to recover? Go back to regular training with a different instructor? No way, Brennan said immediately. We wait for her, however long it takes. That could be months, Thompson pointed out. They'll reassign us. Then we refuse reassignment, Riker said. We make it clear we finish what we started with her or we don't finish at all. They won't allow that. They'll allow it if we're loud enough, persistent enough, annoying enough. Riker stood. She fought for us. She bled for us. She broke for us. The least we can do is fight for the right to finish learning from her. You really think she'll teach us again? Martinez asked quietly. After what happened, after nearly dying because of this assignment. I think she doesn't know how to quit, and I think she'll want to finish what she started. Riker looked around the room. But more than that, I think she needs to know she didn't break in vain, that her sacrifice meant something, that we're not the same people who mocked her 3 weeks ago. Williams spoke up from the corner. I never apologized for laughing, for thinking she was weak. None of us did, Riker admitted. We were too busy feeling guilty and trying to save her life. We should tell her, Brennan said, when she's stronger. Tell her we were wrong, that we're sorry, that we understand now. Apologies don't fix anything, Riker said quietly, remembering words he had overheard in her file notes. Becoming different men does. The room went quiet as they absorbed that truth. They had two choices. Stay the same people they were before arrogant, assumption-driven blind to their own limitations. Or become something better. Something worthy of the sacrifice made on their behalf. The choice was obvious. The path forward was not. But they'd figure it out, together. The way she'd taught them by surviving one moment at a time until survival turned into something stronger. 3 days after Lena woke up, the base commander called Riker into his office. The summons came at 0600, which meant trouble. Nothing good ever happened before breakfast in the military. Commander Wells was a career officer with 30 years under his belt and a face that looked like it had been carved from granite. He gestured to a chair without preamble. Sit. Riker sat. You and your unit have created a significant problem for me, trainee Donovan. Wells steepled his fingers. You interfered with an ongoing investigation. You assaulted base personnel. You violated hospital security protocols. You've turned what should have been a quiet resolution into a spectacle that now involves naval intelligence, the FBI, and 3 congressional inquiries. Sir, we were protecting our instructor. I'm not finished. Wells's voice could have frozen water. You also saved her life, caught a traitor who'd been operating under our noses for months, demonstrated initiative, courage, and loyalty that frankly surprised everyone who's read your previous performance reviews. Riker blinked. That wasn't the direction he'd expected. So here's my problem, Wells continued. Regulation says I should court-martial all 12 of you. Common sense says I should pin medals on you. And politics says I should make this whole mess disappear as quietly as possible. He leaned back. What do you think I should do? It was a test, obviously a test. Riker chose honesty. I think you should do what's right for Instructor Cross, sir. Not what's convenient for the base or the investigation or anyone's career. She's the one who paid the price. She should be the one who benefits from whatever decision you make. Wells studied him for a long moment. You've changed, Donovan. Your instructors from basics said you were arrogant, self-centered, more interested in looking good than being good. I was all those things, sir. Then I met someone who showed me what actual strength looks like, and it didn't look anything like what I thought. Instructor Cross certainly has a way of changing perspectives. Wells pulled out a file. She's being medically retired, effective immediately. The damage to her legs is too severe for her to return to active duty in any meaningful capacity. She'll receive full disability benefits and an honorable discharge. The words hit like a punch to the gut. No, sir, she can recover. She just needs time. She needs 18 months of physical therapy minimum, multiple surgeries, and even then the doctors estimate she'll regain maybe 70% mobility in her left leg, 50% in her right. She'll walk, but she'll never run again, never fight again, never operate in the field. Wells closed the file. Her career is over, son. The question is, what happens to yours? Mine doesn't matter. It does to me, and to the 11 other trainees who've refused reassignment, who've demanded to wait until she's capable of finishing your training herself. Wells raised an eyebrow. That's unprecedented, by the way. Trainees don't get to choose their instructors. They certainly don't get to hold their progression hostage until their preferred instructor is available. She started something with us, sir. We need her to finish it. She can't finish it. She can barely stand. She's in a wheelchair and will be for months. What exactly do you think she's going to teach you from a hospital bed? Riker met his eyes. Everything that matters, sir. She already taught us how to fight. Now she can teach us how to survive when fighting isn't enough, how to adapt when your body fails you, how to lead when you're broken. His voice strengthened. Those lessons are worth more than anything we'd learn from a replacement instructor who hasn't lived them. Wells was quiet for a long time. Then unexpectedly he smiled, just slightly. You're either the most loyal trainee I've ever met or the most stubborn, possibly both. He stood. I'm going to give you something, Donovan, not because you deserve it, because she does. You and your unit have 2 weeks to convince Instructor Cross to continue your training in whatever capacity she's capable of. If she agrees, I'll authorize a modified program. If she refuses, you accept reassignment without protest. Deal. Deal, sir. Thank you. Don't thank me yet. Convincing a proud woman to teach while she's recovering from career-ending injuries. That's going to be harder than catching Morrison. Wells headed for the door, then paused. One more thing. The people who sent those operatives, they're still out there. Still dangerous. Morrison was just one asset. Intelligence believes there are others. So you keep watching. Keep protecting her. Because this isn't over. Riker left the office feeling like he'd just volunteered for an impossible mission. Convincing Lena to keep teaching when she could barely move. When her entire identity had just been shattered along with her legs. He gathered the unit that evening, told them everything Wells had said. 2 weeks, Martinez repeated. We have 2 weeks to convince her. She's going to say no, Thompson predicted. She's too proud, too professional. She'll see herself as a liability now instead of an asset. Then we change how she sees herself, Brennan said firmly. We show her that what she taught us had nothing to do with physical ability, everything to do with mindset, strategy, survival. How? Collins asked. We bring the training to her, Riker said slowly, the idea forming as he spoke. We don't wait for her to come to us. We go to her every day. We ask questions. We practice what she taught us and ask for corrections. We make it impossible for her to quit because we won't let her. That's manipulative, Peterson pointed out. That's survival. She taught us that too. Use every advantage, exploit every opening, adapt to circumstances. Riker looked around. She doesn't think she has anything left to offer. We prove she's wrong, starting tomorrow. The next morning, Riker showed up at Lena's hospital room during approved visiting hours. She was in a wheelchair by the window, staring out at the parking lot with an expression that made his chest hurt. Morning, he said. She didn't turn. You should be training. We are training, just need some guidance on a technique you showed us last week. The redirect on a punch when your opponent has superior reach. Ask your new instructor. Don't have one. Refused reassignment. Now she turned, looked at him with those 2 sharp eyes. That's stupid. You're wasting time. We're investing time. There's a difference, you know. He pulled up a chair. So about that redirect technique. I tried it on Martinez yesterday and he still tagged me. What am I doing wrong? I'm not your instructor anymore, Riker. I can't be. Look at me. She gestured at the wheelchair, the cast, the IV pole still attached for pain medication. I'm broken, useless, done. You're injured, temporarily impaired, recovering, not the same as useless. I can't demonstrate techniques, can't spar, can't run exercises, can't do any of the things an instructor needs to do. You can talk, you can observe, you can correct. That's teaching. Riker leaned forward. The redirect isn't about strength anyway. You told us that. It's about timing and angles. So tell me, what angle am I missing? She stared at him. He stared back, waiting, refusing to break eye contact. Finally, she sighed. You're probably dropping your shoulder before you move, telegraphing the redirect. Your opponent sees it coming and adjusts. So how do I fix it? Keep your shoulders level until the exact moment of contact. Move from your core, not your upper body. The redirect should feel like you're opening a door, not pushing against it. Can you show me? I mean with your hands. Just the motion. She hesitated, then demonstrated with her upper body. The movement was fluid despite her pain muscle memory, overriding current limitations. Like that, she said. See the difference? Yeah, that makes sense. Riker stood. Thanks. I'll try it this afternoon and let you know if it works. You don't need to come back. I answered your question. I'll probably have more questions tomorrow. Tends to happen when we practice without supervision. We mess things up. He headed for the door. See you tomorrow, instructor. I'm not, but he was already gone. The next day, Brennan showed up. Asked about psychological tactics for disorienting opponents. Lena tried to brush him off. He persisted. Eventually she answered, explained, taught without meaning to. Day 3, Thompson came. Wanted clarification on reading microexpressions? Lena said no. Thompson pulled up a chair and waited. 10 minutes passed. 20. Finally, Lena cracked and explained just to make him leave. Day 4, Martinez and Collins arrived together, claimed they couldn't figure out a training exercise without her input, described it poorly on purpose. Lena got frustrated, started correcting them, ended up walking them through the entire exercise verbally. By day 7, she stopped protesting when they showed up, just sighed and asked what they'd messed up this time. By day 10, she was giving them actual assignments, small things at first practice. This technique, 50 times study this scenario, work on that weakness. They did everything she asked and came back with questions, observations, progress reports. On day 12, she said something that changed everything. You're doing this on purpose. Riker, who'd drawn the rotation that afternoon, looked up innocently. Doing what? Making me teach, forcing me to stay engaged, to keep thinking like an instructor, even though she gestured at herself. Even though you're temporarily injured, yeah, we're absolutely doing that on purpose. Wow. Because you're the best instructor any of us have ever had. Because you taught us things in 3 weeks that other instructors couldn't teach in 3 months. Because we're not finished learning from you. He met her eyes. And because you saved our lives, all of us, we're not going to let you give up on yourself just because your body got broken doing it. Her hands clenched on the wheelchair arms. You don't understand. This isn't temporary. The doctors say I'll never fully recover. Never operate in the field again. Never be what I was. So be something different, something better. Riker pulled out a folder. Commander Wells authorized a modified training program. You teach theory, strategy, psychology. We handle the physical demonstrations. You observe and correct. It's not traditional, but nothing about this situation is traditional. I can't stand for more than 5 minutes. Can't walk without assistance. Can't isn't in your vocabulary. You told us that day 1. You said people who focus on what they can't do have already lost. So what can you do, instructor? She stared at him. He watched emotions flicker across her face, anger, grief, frustration, fear, then something else. Something that looked like determination starting to burn through the despair. I can think, I can plan, I can teach. Her voice was quiet but stronger. I can make sure you idiots don't get yourselves killed because you learned half of what I was trying to teach and think that makes you prepared. Exactly, Riker held out the folder. Wells gave us 2 weeks to convince you. We did it in 12 days. So what do you say? You ready to finish what you started? Her hand shook slightly as she took the folder, opened it, read the authorization for modified training protocols, the approval from medical staff, the signatures from the chain of command. You really refused reassignment, she said. Not a question, a realization. All 12 of us, we told them we finish with you or we don't finish at all. That's the stupidest thing I've ever heard. Yeah, seems to be our specialty. Riker smiled. Learned it from our instructor. She's really good at doing impossible things that look stupid until they work. Lena closed the folder, looked out the window again. When she spoke, her voice was rough with emotion she was trying to hide. I'm going to be hard on you. Harder than before, because I can't show you anymore. I can only tell you, which means you have to listen better. Try harder. Fail less. We can handle it. I'm going to make you hate me some days. Too late. We already worship you. Little bit of hate will balance it out. She actually laughed. Small, pained, but real. When do we start? She asked. Tomorrow. Oh, 600. We'll come to you until you're cleared to come to us. Tomorrow's too soon. I need time to prepare, to figure out how to teach from a wheelchair. You've got 18 hours. That's more than enough for someone like you. Riker stood. Besides, we both know you've already been planning. Probably started the day Thompson annoyed you into teaching him. You're constitutionally incapable of not planning. Get out of my room, trainee Donovan. Yes, ma'am. See you at 0600. Don't be late. I'm in a hospital. I'm already here. Then we'll try not to be late. He headed for the door, then paused. For what it's worth, we're honored to be taught by you, to learn from you, not because of what you can do, because of who you are. He left before she could respond, before she could see how much her acceptance meant to him, to all of them. That night, the 12 of them celebrated quietly in the barracks. No alcohol, they were still on duty. Just shared relief and determination and gratitude that she'd said yes. Now comes the hard part, Martinez said. Actually living up to what we promised. Training under someone who can't demonstrate, can't physically correct us, can only watch and instruct. It'll be different, Brennan agreed. But different doesn't mean worse. She'll see things other instructors miss because she'll be forced to watch instead of participate. Plus, she'll be angry, Thompson added, frustrated at her limitations. That anger is going to push her to be harder on us, more demanding. Good, Riker said. We need hard. We need demanding. We got comfortable thinking we were elite. She showed us we're not yet. Now she gets to finish making us into what we should have been all along. The next morning at 0600, all 12 of them stood outside Lena's hospital room. She was awake, dressed in a military tracksuit someone had brought her, seated in her wheelchair with a tablet on her lap and an expression that promised pain. You're late, she said. Thompson checked his watch. It's exactly 0600. If you're not early, you're late. That's rule 1 of the new program. Her eyes swept over them. Rule 2, I can't show you anymore. So you're going to show each other. Demonstrate, critique, correct. I'll observe and tell you what you're missing. If you can't figure out a technique from verbal instruction, you don't deserve to learn it. Rule 3, she continued. No excuses. I don't care if you're tired, hurt, or frustrated. I'm in a wheelchair with 2 shattered legs, and I'm still here. You're healthy and whole. You don't get to complain. She rolled forward slightly. Rule 4, failure is expected. Excellence is required anyway. You are going to mess up, a lot. What matters is how fast you recognize the mistake and correct it. Riker felt himself standing straighter, felt the others doing the same. This was the instructor they'd met 3 weeks ago. Sharp, demanding, uncompromising. But now they understood why. Now they valued it. We'll start with a scenario, Lena said. Hostile situation. You're outnumbered 3-1. You have no weapons. Your objective is extraction of a high-value target from a secure location. Donovan Martinez Thompson. You're the hostile force. Everyone else, you're the extraction team. You have 5 minutes to plan. Go. They moved. Fast. Efficient. Started strategizing like she'd taught them. Riker watched from his position as hostile force saw how much they'd internalized already, how her teaching had changed their approach to problems. The exercise was brutal. Lena stopped them 17 times in the first 20 minutes, called out mistakes before they happened, predicted failures before they manifested, saw things they couldn't see because she was watching with complete focus instead of participating. Brennan, you're telegraphing. Collins, your spacing is wrong. Williams, you're thinking like this is a fight. It's not a fight. It's a puzzle. Fighting is what happens when you fail to solve it. 2 hours later, they were exhausted. She was relentless. Again, she ordered for the 5th time, you're still approaching this like you have the advantage. You don't. The hostile force has numbers, position, and preparation. You have desperation and creativity. Use them. They ran it again. This time something clicked. They stopped trying to overpower the scenario and started trying to outsmart it. Used misdirection, created chaos, exploited the confusion they generated. Better, Lena said when they finished. Not good, but better. That's what I want to see: improvement, evolution, adaptation. She checked her tablet. We're done for today. Tomorrow 0600. Be ready to work on threat assessment and prediction. They filed out, sweating and sore despite not having thrown a single punch. Mental exhaustion was different, but just as real. She's terrifying, Collins said once they were clear. She's effective, Riker corrected. There's a difference. Over the next 2 weeks, Lena pushed them harder than any instructor ever had. Gave them scenarios with no good solutions, problems designed to make them fail, situations where success meant minimizing damage rather than avoiding it entirely. And through it all, she stayed in that wheelchair, stayed broken in body, but unbreakable in spirit, Proved every single day that strength had nothing to do with what your body could do and everything to do with what your mind refused to accept. On week 3, something changed. A new face appeared during their training session, a woman in civilian clothes with kind eyes and a medical bag. She spoke quietly with Lena for a moment, then approached the trainees. I'm Dr. Sarah Chen, physical therapy. I've been working with instructor Cross on her recovery. She looked at Riker. She asked me to involve you in her rehabilitation sessions, said you might benefit from understanding the recovery process. Riker glanced at Lena, who was studiously avoiding eye contact. Why would we benefit from that, ma'am? He asked. Because sooner or later, all of you will be injured in the field, severely possibly. Understanding how to recover physically and psychologically is as important as knowing how to fight. Dr. Chen smiled. Plus, she's been pushing herself too hard. Having witnesses might force her to follow actual medical protocols instead of her own aggressive timeline. I'm right here, Lena called from across the room. Stop talking about me like I'm not. Then stop being stubborn about your recovery, Dr. Chen shot back. Not angry, familiar, like they'd had this argument before. You tried to stand unassisted yesterday and nearly passed out. That's not determination, that's recklessness. It's necessary. I can't teach them properly from a chair. You've been teaching them just fine from a chair for 3 weeks. They're progressing faster than any unit I've seen. Dr. Chen turned back to Riker. Want to help me prove to her that she doesn't need to rush this? Absolutely, ma'am. What followed was the hardest thing Riker had ever watched. Lena, who'd taken down 12 men without breaking a sweat, struggled to stand with assistance. Struggled to take 3 steps with a walker. Struggled to maintain her balance long enough to complete basic exercises. The frustration on her face was devastating. The determination was inspiring. The pain was obvious despite her efforts to hide it. 5 more steps, Dr. Chen encouraged. You did 7 yesterday. I know you can do 5 today. I could do 50 yesterday before Lena's voice caught. She didn't finish the sentence. Didn't need to. Before her legs were shattered, before her career ended, before everything changed. She took the 5 steps, collapsed back into the wheelchair, breathing hard, face pale with pain. Good, Dr. Chen said firmly. Tomorrow we'll try 7. Progress isn't linear. Some days you'll do better, some days worse. What matters is the overall trajectory. After Dr. Chen left the room, stayed quiet. The trainees didn't know what to say, how to acknowledge what they just witnessed without making it worse. Lena spoke first. Well, now you know your instructor is currently weaker than a toddler learning to walk. Still think I'm qualified to train you? Yes, Brennan said immediately, because you just did something harder than any combat exercise. You fought your own limitations, your own pain, your own pride, and you did it knowing we were watching. That's not weakness. That's courage. She looked at him, really looked, like she was seeing him for the first time. When did you get wise, she asked. About 3 weeks ago, when I met an instructor who showed me what real strength looks like. The corner of her mouth twitched, almost a smile. Training resumes tomorrow. Oh, 600. We're covering psychological warfare and manipulation tactics. Wear comfortable clothes. It's going to be a long day. Yes, ma'am. They left her there alone with her wheelchair and her pain and her determination to be more than what her injuries had made her. That night, Riker couldn't sleep. Kept thinking about Lena struggling to walk, about the life she'd lost, the career that ended, the future that got rewritten by 3 armed men and one impossible choice. At 200 hours, he gave up on sleep, went to the base gym, started running mile after mile on the treadmill, trying to outpace thoughts that wouldn't quit. He found Martinez there too, then Thompson, then Brennan. One by one, the others showed up. None of them could sleep, all of them thinking about the same thing. She's never going to be the same. Martinez finally said what they were all thinking. No, Riker agreed. She's going to be different. Question is whether different can still be good. She seems to think it can. She has to think it can. Alternative is giving up, and that's not in her programming. Williams stopped his bench press. You ever wonder what she was before the man in the suit said she had a different name, different identity? What do you think she did? Something that made her dangerous enough to hunt, Peterson said quietly. something that required the kind of training we can't even imagine. Does it matter? Brennan asked. Who she was versus who she is now. It matters because it explains why she's so good at teaching survival, Riker said slowly. She's been surviving her whole life, different threats, different circumstances, but always the same core skills stay alive no matter what. They worked out in silence after that, processing, understanding, realizing that the woman teaching them was so much more than what they saw, and that the sacrifice she'd made ran deeper than broken legs. She'd given up everything she was to protect people who didn't even know her real name. That kind of sacrifice deserved more than gratitude. It deserved becoming worthy of it. 6 weeks into the modified training program, Lena stood unassisted for the first time. Not for long, maybe 30 seconds before Dr. Chen made her sit back down, but 30 seconds was infinity compared to zero. The trainees were running drills when it happened. Riker saw it from across the training yard, saw Lena push herself up from the wheelchair, saw her legs shake with effort, saw the absolute determination on her face. Did she just... Martinez stopped mid-sentence. Yeah, Riker breathed. She did. Lena caught them staring. What are you looking at? Exercise isn't over. Brennan, your footwork is still garbage. Thompson, you're dropping your guard. Move. They moved, but something had shifted. Some invisible barrier had cracked. If she could stand, she could walk. If she could walk, she could fight. If she could fight, she could be whole again. Except that wasn't how it worked. Dr. Chen explained it to them later that week. Standing for 30 seconds doesn't mean running marathons next month. Her recovery is going to take years, plural, and she'll never be what she was before. The damage is too extensive, too permanent. The doctor's voice was gentle but firm. You need to manage your expectations and help her manage hers. What do you mean? Riker asked. I mean, she's pushing too hard, trying to accelerate a process that can't be accelerated. She stood today, so tomorrow she'll try to walk. Next week, she'll try to demonstrate a technique. Next month, she'll try to spar. And every single time her body fails to do what her mind demands, it's going to break something inside her. So what do? You remind her that teaching doesn't require a perfect body, that her value isn't determined by her physical capabilities, that she's already proven everything she needs to prove. Dr. Chen looked at him directly. She saved your lives. Now you need to save hers from herself. That conversation haunted Riker for days. He watched Lena more carefully after that. Saw the frustration when she couldn't demonstrate a move. Saw the anger when her legs wouldn't cooperate. Saw the grief she tried to hide every time she had to explain something instead of showing it. On week 8, it came to a head. They were working on close-quarters combat scenarios. Lena was describing a disarm technique that required precise timing and specific body mechanics. You rotate from the hips, not the shoulders, she was explaining for the third time. The power comes from your core transfers through your arms. I'm not getting it, Collins interrupted. Can you just show us? The room went silent. Everyone knew what he was asking. Everyone knew she couldn't do it. Lena's hands tightened on her wheelchair arms. I just explained it. If you weren't listening... I was listening, but some things you need to see, not hear. Collins' voice was respectful but insistent. You showed us everything before. That's how we learn. Now you just talk and we're supposed to figure it out from descriptions. That's exactly what you're supposed to do. Real combat doesn't come with demonstrations. You adapt or you die. But this isn't real combat. This is training. And you're refusing to teach us properly just because... Just because what? Lena's voice cracked like a whip. Just because I can't stand long enough to demonstrate. Just because my legs are held together with screws and prayer. Just because I'm broken. Collins took a step back. I didn't mean. Yes, you did. You meant exactly that. You want the instructor you had before, the one who could fight 12 of you and win, the one who could mud like water and hit like thunder. Well, that person is gone. This is what you get now. A crippled woman in a wheelchair who can only talk about things she used to do. Her voice was shaking. If that's not good enough, request a new instructor. I'm sure Commander Wells can find someone who meets your standards. She rolled toward the door. Peterson moved to stop her, but Riker grabbed his arm, shook his head. Let her go. They stood in silence after she left. Collins looked stricken. I screwed up, he said quietly. I screwed up bad. Yeah, Brennan agreed. You did. I didn't mean it like she took it. I learn better when I can see things. I wasn't trying to make her feel, doesn't matter what you were trying to do. Riker cut him off. Matters what you did. You made her feel inadequate, insufficient, like she's failing us by being injured. So what do? You apologize properly, not with words, with actions. Riker started toward the door. And we all need to figure out how to show her that she's more valuable now than she ever was before. He found Lena in the hospital courtyard wheelchair positioned in the corner farthest from the building. Her face was wet. She didn't bother hiding it. Come to tell me I overreacted, she asked without looking at him. No, came to tell you Collins is an idiot and we're all grateful you haven't given up on us yet. Maybe I should. Maybe I should accept that I can't do this anymore. Can't be what you need. You're exactly what we need. Riker sat on the bench beside her. You think we need someone who can demonstrate techniques? We can watch videos for that. We can practice on each other. What we need is someone who can see what we're doing wrong and tell us how to fix it. Someone who understands combat at a level that goes beyond physical movement. Someone who's survived impossible things and can teach us how to do the same. I can't even walk across a room without assistance. So what Einstein couldn't run a marathon didn't make him less valuable. Hawking couldn't walk at all. Didn't make him less brilliant. Riker leaned forward. Your value isn't in your body. It's in your mind, your experience, your ability to see 15 steps ahead while the rest of us are stuck on step 2. That's not enough. It's everything. It's the only thing that actually matters. He waited until she looked at him. You taught us that physical strength is the least important part of survival, that brains beat brawn, that adaptation beats raw power. Were you lying or did you actually mean it? She wiped her eyes roughly. I meant it. Then prove it. Prove that you can teach us to be better warriors from a wheelchair than most instructors could teach us of full strength. Prove that broken legs don't mean a broken teacher. Prove that you're still the toughest person we've ever met. Why do you care so much? The question came out broken, vulnerable. Why won't you just let me quit? Because you didn't let me quit when I was being an arrogant ass. Because you saved my life when you should have let those bullets hit me instead. Because I owe you everything, and I'm not done repaying that debt. His voice softened. And because watching you give up would hurt worse than watching you get shot. She was quiet for a long time. Then so quietly he almost missed it. Collins was right, though. I can't show you anymore. Just talk. And sometimes talking isn't enough. Then we figure out new ways. We adapt. We overcome. We survive. Riker stood. You know what you told me the day we met? You said assumptions kill. I assumed you were weak because you were small. I was wrong. Collins assumed you can't teach because you can't demonstrate. He's wrong too. And you're assuming you're useless because you're injured. That's the wrongest assumption of all. He walked away, leaving her alone with her thoughts and her tears and hopefully eventually her determination. That night, Collins knocked on Lena's hospital room door. She'd been cleared to stay in base housing, now a room modified for wheelchair access. Come in, she called. He entered looking like he'd rather be facing enemy fire. Ma'am, I need to apologize. Accepted, you can go. No, ma'am, not that simple. He stayed in the doorway. I was frustrated, not with you, with myself. I'm a slow learner. Always have been. Need to see things multiple times different ways before they click. And when you couldn't show us, I got angry. But I directed that anger at you instead of at the situation. That was wrong. I understand it's fine. It's not fine. It's the opposite of fine. Colin stepped further into the room. You took bullets for us. Lost your career for us. Spent 2 months in agony recovering just so you could keep teaching us. And I repaid that by making you feel like you're failing, like you're not enough. That's not fine. That's unforgivable. I said it's accepted. I don't want acceptance. I want to earn forgiveness. And I can't do that with words. He pulled out a notebook. So I wrote down every technique you've taught us, every principle, every strategy, step by step, with diagrams, different learning styles, visual, kinesthetic, auditory, multiple approaches to the same concept. He handed her the notebook. She flipped through it, eyes widening. Every page was meticulously detailed, drawn from multiple angles, annotated with observations and corrections. "When did you do this?" she asked. "Every night for the past 8 weeks. Figured if I documented everything properly, I wouldn't need as many demonstrations. Wouldn't put pressure on you to do things your body can't handle yet." He shifted uncomfortably. "It's not much, but it's what I can offer. A way to learn that doesn't require you to break yourself trying to show us." Lena stared at the notebook for a long moment. When she looked up, her eyes were suspiciously bright. "This is exceptional work, Collins." "Thank you, ma'am." "And completely unnecessary. You don't need to earn forgiveness for being human, for having limitations, for expressing frustration." She closed the notebook. "But I appreciate the effort and the thought behind it. This actually solves a problem I have been struggling with: how to teach complex movements without demonstration. This documentation bridges that gap. So we're good." "We're good," she paused. "And Collins, thank you for reminding me that teaching is about meeting students where they are, not forcing them to meet me where I used to be." He left looking relieved. Lena sat with the notebook, flipping through pages, seeing her own teachings reflected back at her through a student's eyes. Maybe Riker was right. Maybe she could still do this, just differently. The next morning, she showed up to training with a new plan. "We're changing approach," she announced. "Collins made documentation of our techniques. We're going to use it. Visual learners study the diagrams. Kinesthetic learners practice on each other while I observe and correct. Auditory learners listen to my explanations. Everyone gets what they need instead of everyone getting the same thing." It worked. Better than the old method. Students learned faster, retained more, made fewer mistakes because they could reference the documentation when memory failed. By week 10, they were functioning as a cohesive unit, moving together like pieces of a machine, anticipating each other, covering weaknesses, amplifying strengths. And Lena watched from her wheelchair, correcting and guiding and teaching in ways that had nothing to do with physical demonstration and everything to do with understanding how people learn. On week 12, Commander Wells arrived to observe a training session. Watched them run through complex scenarios, saw how they adapted, how they communicated, how they survived situations designed to make them fail. Afterward, he pulled Lena aside. "I've been doing this 30 years, he said. "I've never seen a unit progress this fast, never seen trainees this synchronized, this capable." "They're good students," Lena replied. "They're exceptional students with an exceptional teacher." "Which brings me to why I'm here." He handed her a folder. "Medical board cleared you for limited duty, not field work, not combat operations, but training, instruction, curriculum development, if you want it." Lena opened the folder. Official orders, a permanent position, teaching not despite her injuries but because of them, because she'd proven that effective instruction didn't require perfect physical capability. "This is contingent on your acceptance," Wells continued, "and on these 12 completing their training successfully, which based on what I just observed seems likely." "When do they graduate?" she asked. 2 weeks. Final evaluation in 10 days. If they pass, they move on to advanced training. If they fail, they repeat the course with a different instructor." "They won't fail." "No," Wells agreed. "I don't think they will. Question is whether you'll accept this position, whether you want to keep teaching." Lena looked out at the training yard where her students were running cool-down exercises, laughing despite exhaustion, supporting each other, being better than they'd been 12 weeks ago. "Yes," she said, "I accept." The final evaluation came faster than any of them were ready for. A comprehensive test of everything they learned: combat scenarios, psychological tactics, survival strategies, threat assessment, decision-making under pressure. They had to succeed individually and as a team, had to prove they'd internalized Lena's teachings, had to demonstrate that 12 weeks of modified training had prepared them as well as traditional methods. The evaluation team consisted of senior officers, combat veterans, and intelligence specialists, people who'd seen everything, who couldn't be fooled by tricks or showmanship. Riker led his team through the first scenario: hostage extraction under hostile fire. They moved like Lena had taught them, not fighting, surviving, creating case, exploiting confusion, completing the objective without firing a single shot. The evaluators made notes, expressionless. Second scenario, interrogation resistance. They had to withstand psychological pressure, maintain operational security, protect classified information. Brennan lasted 4 hours before the evaluators broke the scenario. Martinez lasted 6. None of them cracked. More notes, still expressionless. Third scenario, tactical decision-making. Impossible situations requiring impossible choices. Save civilians or complete the mission. Protect the team or achieve the objective. Every answer wrong in some way. Every choice a sacrifice. They navigated it like Lena had taught them by accepting that survival meant choosing the least bad option, not the perfect one. The evaluation lasted 3 days. Brutal, exhausting, designed to break them mentally and physically. On day 4, the results came in. Commander Wells delivered them personally. "Congratulations," he said simply. "All 12 of you passed. Top marks across the board. Highest scores we've seen in 15 years. The relief was overwhelming. They'd done it. Proven that Lena's teaching worked. Proven that they'd learned. Proven that broken legs didn't mean broken effectiveness. Graduation is tomorrow," Wells continued. "Formal ceremony, dress uniforms, families invited. Instructor Cross will present your certifications personally." That last part stopped Riker cold. "She'll be there in front of everyone. She'll be there. Said she wouldn't miss it. Said you idiots earned it." Wells almost smiled. "Said she's proud of you, which knowing her is high praise." The next day they assembled in dress uniforms, nervous despite having faced enemy fire in training. This was different. This was public. This was permanent. Lena arrived in her wheelchair and wearing her dress uniform for the first time since the attack. She looked smaller than usual, more fragile, but her eyes were sharp as ever. The ceremony started. Wells gave a speech about excellence and perseverance and dedication. Other officers talked about standards and tradition and honor. Then it was Lena's turn. She rolled to the podium, looked out at 12 young men who changed everything she thought she knew about teaching. 12 weeks ago, you were arrogant, assumption-driven, and convinced you already knew everything worth knowing. Her voice carried across the assembly. You looked at me and saw weakness, saw someone who didn't belong, saw a target for mockery. The audience shifted uncomfortably. This wasn't typical graduation speech material. "You were right to doubt me," Lena continued. "I was small, young, female, different. Every assumption you made was based on observable fact. What you got wrong was thinking observations equal truth." She gestured at the 12 of them. "These men learned the hard way that assumptions kill, that observable facts don't tell the whole story, that strength comes in forms they'd never imagined." She paused. "And I learned something too. I learned that teaching isn't about being perfect. It's about being present, about adapting when circumstances destroy your plan, about continuing when quitting looks easier." Her voice strengthened. 3 months ago, hostile operatives shattered both my legs in an attempt to kill me. They thought breaking my body would break me. They were wrong because these 12 men wouldn't let me break. They refused to accept a new instructor, refused to quit on me, refused to let me quit on myself. She looked at Riker. "They showed me that value isn't determined by what your body can do. It's determined by what your mind refuses to accept. And my mind refuses to accept that I'm done, that I'm useless, that I'm finished." She picked up the first certificate. Trainee Riker Donovan. "When we met, you were convinced strength meant physical dominance. Now you understand that real strength is choosing to protect even when protection costs everything. Congratulations, you've earned this." Riker approached, took the certificate, saw pride in her eyes. Something else too. Gratitude maybe, for not giving up on her when she'd given up on herself. One by one she called them forward. Martinez, Thompson, Brennan, Collins, every name, every face, every person who'd changed and been changed. When the last certificate was presented, Wells stepped forward. "One more presentation," he said, pulled out a small box. "Instructor Lena Cross, for exceptional performance in the face of extraordinary circumstances, for redefining what teaching means, for proving that broken bones don't mean broken spirit. The Navy commends you for service above and beyond." He opened the box. Inside was a medal, not the highest honor, but meaningful, recognition for doing the impossible. Lena took it with shaking hands. Thank you, sir. Thank you, instructor, for showing all of us what we needed to see. The ceremony ended. Families flooded in to congratulate their sons, their brothers, their friends. Riker's parents were there. They'd flown in from Ohio. They hugged him, told him they were proud, asked about his training. Who's that woman in the wheelchair? His mother asked. The one who presented your certificate. That's Instructor Cross, Riker said. She's the reason I'm standing here. The reason any of us are. She looks so young. She's 22 and the toughest person I've ever met. He watched Lena talking with Dr. Chen in the corner. She saved my life, took bullets meant for me, broke both her legs protecting us, then taught us from a wheelchair for 12 weeks because she refused to quit. His mother's expression changed. She saved you. She saved all of us in more ways than one. His father, a veteran, himself studied Lena thoughtfully. I'd like to thank her, if that's appropriate. I think she'd appreciate that, Dad. They approached together. Lena looked up, startled by the intrusion. Instructor Cross, Riker's father said. I'm John Donovan, Riker's father. I wanted to thank you for what you did for my son. I was just doing my job, sir. No, you went far beyond your job. You protected him when he didn't deserve protecting, taught him when he didn't deserve teaching, gave him a second chance he didn't earn. John's voice was rough with emotion. You gave me my son back better than I sent him to you. That's not a bomb. That's a calling. Lena didn't know what to say, just nodded, accepted the gratitude she still wasn't comfortable receiving. Other families came, other parents, other thanks, other recognition for sacrifices she'd never expected to be acknowledged. By the time the crowd cleared, she looked exhausted, overwhelmed, but something else too, something lighter. Riker found her an hour later in the empty assembly hall, staring at the medal in her hands. You okay? He asked. I didn't think it would feel like this, she said quietly. Like what? Like maybe I'm still useful, still valuable, still capable of mattering. She looked up at him. For 12 weeks, I've been fighting to prove I could still teach, fighting to justify my existence, fighting to be worth something despite being broken. You were always worth something. We just helped you see it. No, you showed me something different, something better. She set the medal down. You showed me that worth isn't about what you can do. It's about what you refuse to give up. I refuse to give up on teaching. You refuse to give up on me. And together we prove that broken doesn't mean defeated. So what happens now? Riker asked. You've got the permanent position. We're graduating. Moving on to advanced training. What's next for you? I'm going to keep teaching, keep adapting, keep proving that physical limitations don't determine capability. She smiled, actual smile, real and full and genuine. And I'm getting Rex back next week. He's been cleared for return, so I'll have my partner again. How's he doing? Better. The foster family says he's calm now, less anxious, like he knows I'm okay. Her voice softened. I can't wait to see him, to thank him for what he did. He was protecting you. That's what partners do. Yeah, it is. She looked at Riker directly. Thank you for protecting me too, for refusing to let me fall apart, for being the kind of student every teacher hopes for and rarely finds. Thank you for being the kind of teacher who changes lives instead of just transferring information. They sat in comfortable silence for a moment. Two people who'd saved each other in different ways, who'd learned that survival sometimes means accepting help, that strength sometimes looks like vulnerability, that teaching and learning are two sides of the same coin. I have something for you, Lena said suddenly, pulled a small envelope from her pocket. Don't open it now. Open it later. When you need to remember what you learned here. Riker took it, felt something small and hard inside. What is it? Perspective, when you're ready for it. He didn't push, just pocketed the envelope and stood. We'll stay in touch, right, even after we move to advanced training. If you want to, I'd like that. Then we'll make it happen. He started to leave, then paused. One more thing. That first day when I called you weak, called Rex an emotional support dog, mocked you for being small and young and female. I remember. I was the weakest person in that yard, not physically, mentally, emotionally, morally. You were stronger than all of us combined, and we were too blind to see it. His voice was firm. I'm not blind anymore. None of us are. You opened our eyes. Thank you for that. For everything. He left before emotion could break through his composure. That night alone in his quarters, he opened the envelope. Inside was a small metal pin. Simple design. A rook from a chess set, the same symbol he'd seen on Morrison's wrist. The symbol of shadow operators. Ghosts. People who don't exist on paper. And a note in Lena's handwriting. This was my life before. Shadows. Secrets. Survival at any cost. I thought losing it meant losing everything. You showed me I was wrong, showed me that teaching 12 stubborn trainees is worth more than 43 covert missions. That being known is better than being hidden. That broken legs hurt less than a broken spirit. Keep this. Remember that strength isn't what you can do in the dark. It's what you choose to do in the light. Even when it costs you everything you thought defined you. Riker held the pin, understanding flooding through him. She'd given him a piece of her past, a symbol of who she used to be, a reminder that people can change, can be more than their history, can choose different paths when the old ones close. He pinned it inside his uniform jacket, over his heart, where it would remind him every day that real courage isn't fearlessness. It's choosing to continue when fear would be easier, choosing to teach when quitting looks simpler, choosing to protect when running looks safer, choosing every single day to be better than you were yesterday. 3 months later, Riker got a message. Short, simple, pure Lena. Rex is home. I walk at 20 steps unassisted yesterday, teaching new units starting next week. They're already underestimating me. Should be fun. Hope advanced training is kicking your ass appropriately. Stay sharp, stay humble. Stay alive. He smiled. Type back, congratulations on Rex, on the steps, on the new students who have no idea what's about to hit them. We're doing fine here, applying everything you taught us, making you proud, or trying to. Her response came minutes later. You made me proud the day you refused to give up on a broken instructor in a wheelchair. Everything after that is just confirmation. Now stop texting and get back to training. Those skills don't maintain themselves. He laughed, put the phone away, went back to drills. Somewhere on a military base, a young woman in a wheelchair was preparing to teach a new group of trainees that assumptions kill. That strength comes in unexpected forms. That broken doesn't mean defeated. And somewhere in that same woman's modified quarters, a service dog with 47 confirmed kills and one unbreakable loyalty sat beside his handler, calm and present and exactly where he belonged. They'd broken her legs, tried to break her spirit, tried to end her story. They failed because some people don't break. They adapt. They overcome. They survive. And in surviving, they teach others that the quietest person in the room is often the most dangerous one. Not because of what they can do, because of what they refuse to accept. Defeat isn't in their vocabulary. Quit isn't in their programming. Giving up isn't an option when lives depend on continuing. The trainees broke both of her legs until one dog destroyed them all. But that wasn't the real story. The real story was what happened after. When a broken instructor taught 12 arrogant trainees that real strength has nothing to do with perfect bodies and everything to do with unbreakable will. That's the lesson. That's the truth. That's what matters when everything else falls away. Sonnet 4.5.